Adele has crossed over. She's slim now. And she was always an attractive woman, always. But now she's even more attractive. Now Adele is a Helen, and she's getting Helen treatment. But is she ready for it? And might you also be a Helen? Very, very curious about that. Okay, so now we're getting warmer. We're seeing a trend now where certain people do not like other people who work hard and are self-actualized, or they're working towards self-actualization. It makes them feel bad about themselves. I'm going to revisit social comparison theory briefly and then onto Helen. According to social comparison theory, people evaluate their own social and personal worth based on how they compare to others. So there are three comparisons that you can make: upward comparisons, downward comparisons, and similar comparisons. When you compare upwards, you'd be comparing yourself to someone more advanced than you or higher up than you, someone essentially above you. And you would either aspire to be like them if you are a person who's confident and goal-driven, or that person's success or presence would make you feel bad about yourself. It would give you a poor self-image. If you're already a person that has low self-esteem, you're going to have even lower self-esteem now around this person or thinking about this person. And I want to know, when it comes to this sort of thing, if you're very attractive, if you're slim or fit, if you are biracial, or if you are light skinned, you're an upward comparison. If you're an intellectual, you're an upward comparison. If you're upper middle class and above, you're an upward comparison. To most Black people, they would consider you more successful, and therefore you will be subject to the envy that comes with upward comparisons, or they'll aspire to be like you, get where you are. Now, this is pretty much across all races, but it's really serious in the Black community because of the scarcity of opportunity and resources. Now, downward comparisons. That's comparing yourself to someone else that you feel is beneath you, someone that is doing worse than you. This would give the person confidence, and they think to themselves, at least I'm not that guy. It would boost their self-esteem. It would boost your self-esteem that someone else is doing worse than you. Downward comparisons can include the disabled, the elderly, and even children. Downward comparisons can, of course, be made towards people of other races or class, like I've mentioned in past videos. Similar comparisons are what they sound like. You're comparing yourself to people on the same level as you. This is the safest, most comfortable comparison to make. Now, what's going on with these types of people today is more sinister than it sounds. These people make up most of the population today. And these people want people that make them feel insecure to die. And I'm not being dramatic. They don't want change. They don't want fairness. They don't want inclusion. They want elimination. Men who can't get the women they want. Women who can't get the men they want. women who can't get the type of body and features that they want. And the same kind of goes for men, even though men eventually can get over that. Men usually eventually get over that and they focused on their money. People who are insecure about their lack of accomplishments in life and their laziness is apparent, they're also in this category. These people were born with brains that are wired differently than most. This is a developmentally stunted brain that lacks theory of mind. So, some things about Helen. Only women comfortable with themselves can be friends with Helen or friendly with Helen. But on the other end, insecure women who don't like Helen get mad when Helen is not their friend. It triggers them. It makes them very angry that they can't get close to Helen, even though they don't necessarily like her. Makes you question why you want to be so close to Helen if you do not like Helen. People tend to take it personally when Helen's not buddy-buddy with them too. And some people, both men and women, become obsessed with Helen. They take great offense when she's not friends with them. And it's within her right to choose who she wants to be friends with, right? But they don't understand that. They don't care about that because Helen is actually an inanimate object to them. She's not a person. Also, if Helen's not best friends with you, it must mean that you are insert insecurity here. So it must mean that your teeth are so yellow. It must mean that you're so ugly. You're such a loser. It must mean that you're so short. She's not into short people. A lot of projections placed on to Helen. Now, friendships. Helen's friends secretly hate her, and she has to watch out for sabotage from them too. Destroy her because people don't want to see her win. Most people who know Helen, most people around Helen don't want to see her win. It's unfair because they feel like she's already on top. So this is how female sociopaths destroy people. They use that and they use people against Helen. Schadenfreude is to the max with Helen. It's delicious to see the pretty girl lose. So no one's going to question or challenge the smear campaigns against Helen.
This is the first time I've ever seen you look ugly. That makes me kind of happy.
Vulnerability won't make people like Helen. It works for everybody but Helen for some reason. People enjoy her pain. So if Helen opens up, it'll be used against her somehow, and she'll be kicked when she's down if she's open about things. Helen can only be open with secure, good-natured people, and those people are kind of hard to come by. Now, speaking of people who experience hardship, but it's ignored, I can think of other people in society who are in that category. Even without privilege, without money, without good looks, these people are still in the Helen category. And this is because in whatever society they live in, those people have been chosen to be the scapegoats. And every society pretty much needs a scapegoat. So everyone in that society wants to believe that the people a part of that group are Helens to justify why they treat them the way that they do and why they think what they think about them. Now, moving on, romantic relationships. And perfect can only. Now, some may say that being beautiful and perfect can only work to a woman's advantage, but I think that that's only if you're a narcissistic personality or sociopathic or cutthroat Machiavellian type of woman. Or if you're a privileged woman who doesn't have to deal with the BS, maybe you have the money or social standing to not have to deal with toxicity like this, and you could just bypass it. Also, society won't admit this, but society even expects Helens to be terrible people, and they're actually disappointed with those who are not. When Helen is not a bitch, when she is not bitchy, God forbid Helen is nice, people reject that. People reject her. People don't like that because people deep down want to feel a certain way when they're with Helen, and that is beneath her. They feel that that is their place. So I just wanted to bring that up and talk about how basically less attractive women are winning. They are winning. They are getting married more. They are approached more, so much so that they think they're the bee's knees because these men make them feel that way. And then the beautiful woman is just completely ostracized. And you have this gang of unattractive women working very hard at destroying the beautiful woman's image so that she becomes a social pariah. This is what's going on. And what's interesting is that Black men seem to hate beautiful women with the same fervor that Black women do. I have not seen this in any other race. It's only with us. So that's interesting. Usually with other races, it's only a very small minority of men who are of the incel variety that hate hot chicks, that hate beautiful women because, you know, whatever their reasons are. But it's a minority of men. Most men love beautiful women. They love to look at them. They want to get to know them. They're attracted to them and they see them for who they are. They don't have this irrational hatred for them right off the bat. So, I mean, pretty much in the Black community, you have the majority of people in the community who hate beautiful women. And, you know, frankly, that could get dangerous for beautiful women. So I just wanted to add a little bit of balance to this conversation. It's been very one-sided, and what people are saying about beautiful women is just not fair. There seems to be some sort of war on beautiful women.
All right. What's up, you guys? I hope all is well. So, in this live, obviously, I will be discussing Ice Spice and Cleopatra's little dust up situation that happened a couple months ago. A couple days ago, a couple weeks ago at this point, but time moves so fast. It feels like a couple months ago. But anyway, so I do want to talk about that situation. I also want to connect it to some other situations, considering particularly the situation between Amanda Seales and Issa Rae. And I want to do some content on this when the whole situation happened, but I just, more important stuff came up. It just I never got to it. But I just saw so many connections between that situation. Well, not connections, but I guess you could say parallels or hypocrisy of how it was handled, between that situation as well as this Ice Spice Cleopatrap situation. There was a lot of double standards there, and some of the same central themes that I'm going to talk about in this live, I was going to talk about in relation to that situation. So I just want to tie the two in. But of course, this live will primarily be about Ice Spice and Cleopatra's situation. And then I'm also going to do some commentary on people, of course, judging Cardi B and her friend Star Burma to the situation, and her ultimately having to address and everything. I mean, she didn't have to address it, but unfortunately, she addresses everything. But anyway, just the central theme here when it comes to like friendship and skin tone politics amongst women of African descent and all that good stuff. And so some of the main concepts I'm going to be touching on in this live is business and industry, friendship and fraternity, and how those things can be impacted, or how outcomes can be changed when they relate to smear campaigns, or different, just how different situations are handled. And when it comes to business and friendship and optics of situations, people don't, I feel like they underestimate how much of that really can impact somebody socially, or it can impact them in their career, impact their job situation. For some people, it just makes an uncomfortable work environment. For other people, it literally ends up affecting their pockets and their money. Now, I don't necessarily think that this situation is going to financially affect Ice Spice in any type of way. I think she's gonna just be quiet, go away for a few weeks or something, then come back, like most celebrities do. I don't really think it'll affect her that much. But at the same time, being a celebrity, how you are viewed in the court of public opinion, whether it's positive or negative, that does affect your pockets. So not just for Ice Spice, but other women in the industry as well, this is affected also. And when light-skinned women talk about these social dynamics that were not only for just regular people, but celebrities as well, and how these social interactions can impact you personally or professionally, we're often talked down and told that it's not that important, or that, we're over exaggerating, or that doesn't sound like a big deal. So in this live, I'm going to try to kind of shed light on why, yes, it is a big deal, and you really don't understand how it affects you until that you've been in that situation. And so, I mean, of course, Ice Spice is dealing with this on a massive global scale, way beyond what the average light-skinned woman deals with. But at the same time, there are a lot of people probably can relate to some of just the regular friendship stuff that Ice Spice has had to deal with. Because I'll also be talking about her whole situation with that baby Storm chick and everything. And I've also had a situation where not only was I dealing with a smear campaign at work, but with friendship as well. And I actually, if y'all saw my video, I think it's called Trans Women Are Valid, but Mixed Women Are Not, something like that. Go check out that video. I'll have it linked in the description box below. If you to understand the context of this story, you really got to understand, you really have to have watched that video. But anyway, in that video, I talked about how I went through a smear campaign at work. Well, this was the smear campaign that I'm talking about. And so not only did I go through a colorist light smear campaign at my job, then I had to deal with a fake friend turning on me and calling me a Dominican colorist on social media. So basically attempting to do a smear campaign against me online too. And I definitely feel like that girl, at least the ex-friend who went on that smear campaign, her actions, I definitely feel like were impacted by a lot of this rhetoric and these narratives online in social media, just like with the other topic that I discussed, how that isn't very heavily pushed on social media. It's the same thing. So it may seem trivial to people, like, oh, why do you even care what people are saying in videos? Why do you care what people are saying on TikTok? Whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. And at first I used to view it like that also, but honestly, you really don't understand how these issues affect you until they come knocking at your door, until they affect your real life. So, those are just my anecdotal experiences. But yeah, so within talking about how skin tone politics intersect with business industries, friendships and opportunities, as well as smear campaigns, some of the central themes or ideas I'm going to be talking about are going to be confirmation bias, stereotypes, optics, and how those are fueled by propaganda. So let's get into it. That was kind of the intro, but let me get into my notes because I don't want to be rambling because there's a lot I want to say. Um, so yeah, and yeah, for years people have been talking about how this affects women in the workplace, not only when it comes to, you know, skin tone politics, but just in general, queen bee syndrome, you know, women clicking up. This is a social phenomenon that's been talked about. So this is not something that's specific to light skin women or anything like that, but I'm connecting it to colorism, lightism, because this is a very prominent theme talked about today, especially amongst young women. And just to get more into the focus of Ice Spice's situation, it's just been very obvious to me that ever since Ice Spice came out, they've been gunning for her, tried to put the colorist narrative on her since she came out, and they've constantly been attaching narratives to her skin tone. I feel like when she first came out, when Munch was popular, I remember them, you know, doing their social media, you know, little conversations saying that, oh, she's popular only because of colorism, and it's not fair that Flo Millie has been out way longer. She doesn't have height. And of course, they were doing the whole comparison thing that they typically do. But ever since she came out, they have been gunning for her. Like ever since she hopped on the scene, they were trying to accuse her of being colorist. They were trying to say that she only benefited from colorism, which is basically the same thing. They're throwing out dog whistles when they do that. So I think that is very obvious. If you look at the pattern, it's very clear that they've been trying to figure out a way to socially take this girl down or socially make her appear in a negative way. And in this day and age, attaching colorism or saying that light skinned women have got something unearned because of colorism is the easiest way to do this. So that's why when Cleopatra came out with her little story time or whatever, when she started with the, you know, playing off the whole skin tone politics and race and everything like that, she had already lost me there because, okay, I'm kind of jumping the gun, but from the jump, it was very clear what not only Cleopatra was doing, but also what the Baby Storm chick was doing with leading her audience. And I was going to do content about that also when it came out, but I'm so glad that I didn't and just waited to do this because I had a feeling that they were not done trying to, you know, take this girl out. So I was like, let me just sit back and wait, you know, and see what else happens. And yeah, people have just been looking for an excuse to not like her. And it's not only been women, but it's been men also. And I feel like that's something that's also not been pointed out enough. Like, especially when it comes to light-skinned women, they always talk like, oh, we just get all these exceptions, especially from men of African descent. And like, oh, we're just always defended and that everybody just automatically supports us and things like that. And it's just a very delusional way of viewing the world, in my opinion, because like, and this goes back to what I always say, that all attention is seen as good attention or attention is currency within the Black community. Like since Ice Spice came out, not only has it been other Black women gunning for her and trying to accuse her of, you know, being some, you know, promoter of colorism by benefiting from it, according to them, because she had a song, which is so interesting to me. Like, if she got viral literally from a song, because that song was everywhere. A song is something you hear with your ears, okay? You don't look at music. Music is not visual. There have also been plenty of times when songs have gone viral and you never saw how the person looked. You know what I mean? More so before social media, but even now, like, I don't know how the hell the dude who sings and then like come on in, and like come on in, I have no idea how he looks like until the music video came out. I think I've seen the music video, but I'm just saying, like, music gets popular all the time and goes viral all the time, and you don't see the artist. And I had heard the song before I saw what Ice Spice looks like. Do I think that after people saw her and saw that she has a very unique, very beautiful look, and like she does have a very to me, she has an original look. I think, you know, you don't, how many girls do you see in the industry with a short afro? And when I saw that, I was like, oh, she already got my support. When I seen that little afro, I was like, oh, I don't care what she's talking about. Like, you up there with a small afro, I'm going for it, because I've dealt with like not, how do I say this? I've dealt with like being insecure about shrinkage before and stuff. So when I seen her afro, I was like, wow, like I'm honestly surprised that an artist would wear their hair like that, because y'all know how a lot of Black women are about their hair. So I was like, wow, I think that that's awesome. Sidebar, this is not even in my notes, but isn't it funny This was another thing that they tried to say when she came out. They tried to be like, oh yeah, if Ice Spice was brown skin or dark skin, she wouldn't have been popular for wearing her natural hair. First of all, how do y'all know that? Y'all always speak in hypotheticals. How do y'all know that? You see, y'all always say stuff that you haven't even tried. And this is what I find very interesting. This is just a sidebar. This is completely like random thought. But I remember them saying that. And again, they were looking for any ways to attach her to feminism. Just to wrap up my old point, I feel like she would have gone viral because of the song, regardless of how she looked. Do I think that the way she looked helped and has helped her maintain longevity? Yes. But to just make it seem like she simply got popular just from her looks is not, I don't think that that's fair, because like I've said in other videos before, there are other light-skinned women artists that are very attractive, very beautiful. They don't get the same attention or play, and because their music is not hitting like that. It's nothing personal. It's just, if people don't want to listen to your music, people don't want to listen to your music. You're not going to sell music from twerking and being pretty. Like, I don't know where y'all are getting that from. There's plenty of beautiful women and booties in the industry. It's like, so clearly it's more to it. Regardless of what y'all want to say or not, the girl has a very original look. So going back to the whole Afro thing, yeah, they tried to say, oh, if she wasn't light skinned, she wouldn't be able to wear an afro. People wouldn't be hyping her up, and men wouldn't find her attractive. First of all, y'all don't know that because y'all are not, unfortunately, a lot of y'all are not confident enough to wear your natural hair like that, especially not in a small afro like that. We don't know how long her hair is, and I'm not getting into that, but I'm just saying, like, when you have type 4 hair, you know how it is. Like, you know, sometimes depending on the weather, you know, the heat, how you had it the day before, whatever, it might look longer, shorter, shrunken, and I definitely use that with her hair. So regardless of people want to say, I definitely that is her hair. She just dies, but that's neither there. But I know that because y'all don't wear y'all real hair, and I think that is really interesting that they always make these broad spanking generalizations, and it's usually women who don't wear their real hair anyway, and usually that wear wigs and weaves, and they'll make these broad spanking generalizations, and it's like, how would you know that? Like, you don't know if they would get popular. You have not tried. You know, she came out and she tried something different. She got an original look and she popped off. Like, don't hate, just support it. Like, and it's interesting how, like, when I saw her with her hair like that, my initial thought was like, oh, I'm going to support her because she's a woman that looks like me, that has hair like me, like that. I think that that's great that she's confident enough to wear her hair in that way in an industry where everybody's weaved up, you know, because like I said, even I've struggled with you know, feeling some type of way about shrinkage and things like that. So, but when these other women who, you know, view her through a certain light, when they saw her hair, it was automatically like, oh, well, you're only able to do that because you're light skinned. Oh, you know, because she's doing something, because she's confident enough to wear her hair in a way that they're not confident enough. They're saying it's only because she's light skinned. It's like, you don't know how many years it took Ice Spice to be comfortable with wearing her hair out. And I did a whole video about this. I'm not even going to get into that anymore. But anyway, that was another thing that they tried to say. Like, I'm not going to keep on about the hair thing, but I just thought that was so funny. It's like, basically, all of the Black women in the industry, no matter their skin tone, they all wear wigs and weaves primarily. Y'all are not wearing y'all real hair. So that's not fair to get mad at her and say, oh, you only getting a quote unquote a pass to wear your natural hair because you light skin. That's stupid. Like, and I think that part of her popularity, like I said, is because of her original look. But anyway, that's all I want to say about that. But yeah, they've been hating on her since she came out. And just to wrap up the point I was saying about Black men, since she came out, yeah, they might have been saying that she's attractive or that she looks good or whatever, but they were also roasting the fuck out of Munch. Like, they were roasting her song. I remember I used to look in like the hip hop blogs when they would post her, like they would be saying, oh, she's trash, she can't rap, she's whack. And really what it was that a lot of them were sexually frustrated and jealous of her because they want to be rappers. They want to be able to get famous off of not doing much and not providing much. So they were jealous when they see attractive women not only putting in work to do something that they want to do, living out their dream, but from their perception, because like the video said, unfortunately, a lot of Black people have this strange idea about beautiful women that they're like these manipulative Jezebels that get everything unearned. So a lot of Black men view light-skinned women through that lens, or women that they're attracted to just in general, across the board. It does not matter the skin tone. A lot of Black women try to say, oh, that they have a different standard for that. They view dark-skinned women as gold diggers. I don't really hear this anymore as much, but when I was younger, I remember some Black women saying, oh yeah, Black men will view dark-skinned women as gold diggers, but they don't view light-skinned women as gold diggers. They think light-skinned women deserve it, which is completely opposite of the case. Like, which is not the case at all. Like, have you never listened to a hip hop song? Like, yeah, they might be saying that they want to smash these light skinned women, but they're also calling them B's and H's and saying that they're not going to give them no money and that they don't want to buy them anything and they don't want to take care of them. Like, where are y'all getting these ideas from? Like, that's why I be like, y'all be coming up with ideas in your head. Like, where are y'all getting that thought from? But anyway, so yeah, when Ice Spice came out, I remember it was a lot of black men in the comments hating on her and saying that her song was whack and that she can't rap. I don't know. And even I think recently she went on that dude 𝙀𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙧, whatever his name is. She went on his live stream or whatever, and they were like, oh, she can't rap. And when he said asked her to rap, she twerked or something, like she's only getting by on her looks and da 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 da. Like, a lot of men are hating on Ice Spice as well. Even if you watch the hip hop bloggers on YouTube and stuff, a lot of them say that she's whack and can't rap. So I don't know where that idea was coming from, that black women were just so supportive of her. And just the general idea that light skinned women get so many passes and that they just support us so much. Like, I just, do y'all not read comments? Do y'all not listen to music? Do you not hear male rhetoric? I mean, like, I don't know. Or is it that y'all have a confirmation bias set of ideas that y'all want to keep enforcing to yourself? But anyway, on top of trying to take her down because of colorism, they also, I noticed this was like a little bit as her career had a little bit more longevity, since it's been a few years. Now they're moving on to straight up calling her ugly, which is really funny to me because I think she's actually really, really pretty. Not to toot my own horn, but I have very similar features as well. So we're also mixed with similar things. Like, we're like the same ethnic mix, just different countries. So I relate to her in a lot of ways, so that's another reason why I was going to support her. But yeah, like, she's way lighter than me and I'm like more on the tan side, but I have like the similar nose and like lips and stuff like that and hair texture and things. But yeah, so I think that is really funny that they're calling her ugly, and a lot of us in the space have pointed out how they always like women with African features ugly. Now, I haven't really necessarily dealt with being called ugly, but I have noticed that there is that project featurism onto light-skinned mixed women a lot, and I do notice that the light-skinned women that they tend to hold up, especially when it comes to men, I do notice that they are usually women who do have like more slender features. It's not really very West African features, I notice. So I do think that subconsciously a lot of Black people have internalized the idea that African features are ugly, even if they're not coming out and saying that. Because I do think it's interesting that they are going out of their way to call Ice Spice ugly or say that she's funny looking. They also said that about Glorilla too sometimes. So it's like, it's interesting how all the light-skinned women y'all call ugly or say are funny looking, they all have clearly African or ethnic features. They did the same thing to Cardi B. And I love Nicki, but y'all don't call Nicki Minaj ugly. And then she's not, I mean, by any stretch of the means, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you don't talk about other, like, they don't talk, I don't know. I've never really seen them talk about the features of light-skinned women who don't have clearly West African features. So there's a lot of internalized featureism in those comments as well. But yeah, I'm not gonna get you too much into that because I've definitely observed that. That's, yeah, like I said, that's not my experience too much, but I've definitely seen it, and in some of the comments that people make, you can hear it low key. And it's just interesting because they always accuse the light-skinned people of projecting anti-African sentiments onto them. But it's like they do the same thing to us. If we're gonna go with the logic that happens, I don't hear light-skinned people really talking about other Black people's features. I don't see a bunch of light-skinned women saying that other Black women are ugly because they have big noses or whatever. And then the whole Down syndrome thing too, I think that that's disgusting. And that was a narrative that was going around a lot as well. And that just kind of connects to like, you can dish it, but you can't take it. Like, to sit up here and say that somebody has Down syndrome when you know that they don't have Down syndrome, and that's not even a laughing matter. That's not funny. Like, people actually do have Down syndrome, obviously. So I don't see how that's funny or okay. And it just shows you like the double standards, because they have so many complaints about the things that they claim light-skinned people say, do, and receive. Mind you, no tangible evidence, literally just accusations and vibes. Okay. So we have to constantly be berated with unprovable accusations. Meanwhile, you over here calling people, saying that they're ugly when they got the same features as you. So what does that say about yourself? Because more y'all got features like Ice Spice than light-skinned women that y'all say are pretty. But anyway, I won't even into that. But even though Ice Spice is really pretty. in my opinion. But again, I actually think African features are beautiful, unlike a lot of people. Anyway, what was my point? I hate when I do that. Oh yeah, the Down syndrome thing. Yeah, like that's just absolutely ridiculous, and I don't see how anybody could find that okay. I think I have a picture of somebody talking about that. Give me 1 second. But yeah, like so y'all spend a lot of time talking about saying that light skinned people talk about y'all features or accusing us of saying XYZ things, but y'all accusing of this girl of having a whole genetic disease where people actually struggle with and have to deal with. And like that's literally a disablement. Like that's mad ignorant. And let's be real, y'all are saying that because of how her features are featuring, because not only does she have a mixture of African features, I hate when I forget how to do stuff randomly. Because she has a mixture of African features and she has mixed people features. So they think that they can talk about her features because she has mixed people features, but if a person that's monoracially black or that's darker than the paper bag talks about their features of their skin tone, they want to burn down the whole interweb. But you can sit here and people have Down syndrome, like that shit is crazy to me. Hold on, I'm forgetting. Oh, here it goes. Sorry, I want to show y'all this picture now. I was over here doing silly shit. 1 second. Because y'all think because they was really trying to make this like a thing. Like they was real life trying to make this a thing. I'm not even kidding right now. Hold on. Bruh, where is it? Oh, here it goes. She over here trying to be funny. Look at this. Wait. Oh. I got a billion. Oh my God. I got a billion windows open. Sorry. Look at this. Like, are y'all serious right now? Come on now. Does Ice Spice have Down syndrome? The mystery. Like, are y'all serious right now? Can you imagine? If they were saying this about a brown skin or dark skin celebrity? and why is that funny? Like, and I don't really care if y'all find her attractive or not. It's not me. I just that it's interesting that they're only for light skin people cannot say, and all this policing of just light skin people in general. But it's open season on talking about light skin people's looks and features and accusing us of having genetic diseases. I just find that crazy. But anyway, let me move on to my next point, which is that they seem the new tactic seems to be to come for, and maybe people can say that me using the word smear campaign is a strong word, or maybe smear campaigns are more calculated, whatever. Maybe I'm overgeneralizing, but it's just really feeling like almost every mixed or light-skinned celebrity that's getting popular or generating a lot of attention in the last 3 years are getting these attacks, like, or getting these like social, like, I don't know, all these people just coming for them for different reasons, for really no particular reason. And it's like, y'all, they'll keep coming for them. And this has been happening over the last like 5 years. They'll keep coming for them, keep throwing shit out the wall just to see what sticks, basically. So y'all been gunning for Ice Spice since she came out. Now y'all finally have something that actually like got some traction. That's just how it seems to me. But and it's the same like rhetoric about these celebrities, and like I said, it's always the same stereotypes that are weaponized are always these ones that are long, deep rooted, and always like just deep rooted and constantly brought up again. And so it's like you're clearly using these words and attaching these characteristics to these people to stir up emotions, because the idea of light skin and mixed people that within the African descent community has. So you're playing off of that. How do I say? You're like playing off of that dynamic and trying to get the public to feel some type of way about them, even when that's not necessarily the case. And two examples I have of this, and I'm going to talk about Amanda Sears later on, But Amanda Seales went through this, and definitely Tyla. And like you can see, like you can feel whatever way you want about Amanda Seales, but like if you really listen to what people say about Amanda Seales, like with the whole like people thinking that that she's biracial thing, like it's nothing wrong with being biracial, but they put that idea out there to make it seem like she's biracial or you know, very very admixed or something like that, so that they got justified talking negatively and not liking her, or you know, ostracizing her. And it's like, first of all, that's fucked up to feel like you're justified to ostracize a biracial person, but it's also very telling that you feel like you need to, in order to justify ostracizing this light-skinned Black person that we know you don't like anyway, you have to lie on them and put this narrative out about them to say, oh yeah, you know, because she thinks she's better, or you know, she's that loudmouth light skin girl and da, when y'all really just don't like her personality, which is really interesting because y'all don't have to like her personality. But like, it's funny how we all have to endure a million, you know, people who take on the sassy Black girl stereotype, and that's really you, that's fine. But I'm sorry, you know, just as a Black woman myself, I can tell that a lot of Black women take on a certain, especially on social media, they take on this like sassy loudmouth, like I'ma tell you, like, you know, child, like type of persona and things like that. That's not even them, but they take it on to be comfortable or non-threatening. But then when there's a light-skinned woman who's naturally very bold and outspoken and, you know, very confident, self-assured, then they don't like that and they want her to like you know, kind of dim her light and things like that, and they're attaching all these negative stereotypes about her. And it's kind of the same way about with Tyla, even though she's not that stereotype at all. She's not louder, you know, outspoken and things like that. But I'm just saying, like, there's certain narratives about her with the whole thing. And because they like that she calls herself colored, I guess, they're automatically, like, every tiny thing she does, they're nitpicking it and attaching these negative stereotypes to her. Does that make sense? Like, because they don't like that Tyla identifies as colored, because they feel like they don't have control over her, she's not in their sphere of influence or whatever, basically she's not kowtowing, they're nitpicking all the small things that she does in order to set up this narrative about her to turn the public against her. And that's what happened to Amanda Seales too. But what was bad about Amanda Seales is that the public already outwardly didn't really like Amanda Seales because of her personality. And there are times when, I know I did commentary about Amanda Seales recently. There are things that Amanda Seales has said and does that I vehemently disagree with and find annoying. But I don't think that is fair, the level of hateration and the level of you know, the level of bashing that she was getting, especially on top of the fact that y'all felt the need to lie on this woman and lie about her ancestry to justify y'all's hateration, and you basically smearing her essentially. And if y'all watch my my video that I was talking about earlier, the one I just uploaded, this is something I dealt with too, where I had an ex-friend get on social media and say that I was a whole different nationality. He said I was because y'all know how Americans, they have this stereotype about Dominicans that all Dominicans are racist and self-hating. So in order to put a narrative about me to the public and try to her social media and try to turn other people in our friend group against her, she tried to say that I was a Dominican colorist. And because she knew that it was an easy setup for the story. Shit is more complicated when that's not how stuff went down. So she was trying to drive the story in a certain way, because it's like that shit is not even relevant to bring up. If I'm a bad friend to you and you feel like I'm trifling and I'm just not a good person and, you know, I'm T-phobic and all that type of stuff, I don't know what my nationality has to do with it. Just like if Ice Spice was such a bad friend to Cleopatra and, you know, she felt so disrespected, why did you have to start out your video talking about how I'm a strong Black woman and they're intimidated by me and da. It's like, you know exactly what you're doing. Like, come on now, y'all know exactly what y'all doing when y'all throw out those little trigger words and y'all play off these stereotypes. Y'all be knowing what you're doing, and it's a tale as old as time, because y'all been attaching these stereotypes and these negative characteristics in order to make light-skinned people and light-skinned women specifically look bad for a very long time. And so just to show you how clear and obvious the campaign is, hold on. This time I'm going to be quicker with showing what I'm about to show. Look at this. Hold on. Because they use the same playbook all the time. Like, it's always the same story. Come on, load. Look at this. You know what? I'm gonna have to do it this way. It's taking a minute to load. Do 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 do. All right. Like not an original play at all. So look at this. This is a thumbnail. What? Oh, this is a thumbnail about Amanda Seales from 4 months ago. So it says Amanda Seales exposes. Wait, is this the right one? Oh shoot, sorry, this is not the right one. Let me show y'all the other one. Embarrassing. Are you not embarrassed? But isn't that what they're saying about Ice Spice though? So it still proves my point because they're saying that Ice Spice is a mean girl because I don't know, strictly off of Cleopatra's word. I don't know what type of mean girl takes somebody on a whole tour with them, but I mean that's just me. Like I guess things, I don't know, maybe I'm oversimplifying the situation, but I feel like that's a strong commitment. But anyway, so this thumbnail says, is Tyler unlikable? Just ignore all the ugly dudes on there. They're irrelevant. Pay them no mind. But anyway, just, you know, sorry about the eyesore. But anyway, so you see how they say Tyler is unlikable. So she asks if Tyler is unlikable. Then they were saying that Amanda Seales is unlikable. So, you know, maybe Amanda Seales is unlikable to some people, but it's just interesting to me that why is it always the same narratives? Like, why is it always the same rhetoric? Why y'all got the same, oh, here it goes. Yeah, it's just always the same narrative. So clearly y'all have a certain perception of how y'all view light-skinned and mixed women, even if, because they have completely different personalities. So it's like, okay, I can understand viewing Amanda Seales as being maybe obnoxious or whatever. I still don't see what's so unlikable about her, especially, and this is what's so funny, they have so much vitriol for Amanda Seales and she's so annoying and she's extreme, we don't like her. Meanwhile, she goes dumb hard for Black people. Like she goes so hard for the Black community. She goes so hard for advocating for Black spaces, advocating for Black people. Even behind the scenes, I personally know of some stuff that she's done. Meanwhile, these Black males who have so much more influence, money, and power, like the ones on the screen, so many more. They have not even done a fraction of what Amanda Seales has done, yet they get praised and dick rolled all over the place, right? Everybody loves them, but they don't like Amanda Seales because they don't like her aesthetics and because she is a loudmouth and she talks too much, which really is that, which really translates to you are a self-assured light-skinned woman who I feel like is too confident, so I don't like you. Which is why they're over here saying Tyler is unlikable. What has Tyler done to be unlikable? What, because she asked somebody to hold her award like everybody has ever done in the history of award shows ever? That shit was stupid as hell. And this is what I'm talking about. They will sit up there and nitpick what these women are doing because they don't like them, waiting for them to slip up so they can wait to have something negative to say. And I wouldn't be surprised. Give it 6 months, they're gonna have some colorist accusations coming out about Tyler too. It's gonna be some friend from Johannesburg from 8 years ago coming out saying, yeah, Tyler called me XYZ. Tyler said XYZ about me and that I'm ugly and da 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 da. Like, I would not be surprised. Or they're gonna be some tweets that come out. It's gonna be something. Watch. I'd strongly be surprised if they don't try to attach some colorism or anti-Blackness to Tyler. Because it's just too easy. And isn't it funny how they can always find some colorism, anti-Blackness to attach to a light-skinned or mixed person to cancel, but they have yet to cancel multiple other women, male and female, brown skin and dark skin celebrities who have said 25,000 times worse They do never bring that up. Not saying that that has to be held over their head also, but I just find that mad ironic. Like, they are so quick to say that a light-skinned woman is unlikable or cancelable, or she's a bad friend or a bad person, or, they're very dismissive of light-skinned women no matter how hard you go, no matter how much work you put in, just like a man skills. So it shows that you're damned if you can, damned if you don't. You can literally just show up and be thin and pretty like Tyler and have an accent, and they're gonna hate on you. Or you could be like Amanda Seals and go dumb hard for the Black community, be pro-Black, all that stuff. Try to put other Black women on, be supportive, all of that. It's still not gonna be enough. They're still gonna try to, be negative to you about your ancestry and try to ostracize you. You could have 2 Black parents, and let this be a lesson to light-skinned women with 2 Black parents. Just give it up. It doesn't matter. They don't care about the being pro-Black. They don't care about your 2 Black parents. They clearly don't even care about your thin nose, because Amanda Seals has that, and look how they treat her. So you can't even benefit from featureism properly in the Black community because they hate so much on you. Like, that's why I don't really buy into the whole isms thing. Like, yeah, are isms, colorism, featureism, all that type of stuff real and impactful? Absolutely. But no, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm privileged and feel apologetic about benefiting from certain isms when are they putting any money in my pocket? No. Are they buying me a house? Are they bringing me a good man? Are they doing anything tangible for me? No. So no, it's not a privilege. If it can't put a roof over my head, if it can't food my stomach, if it can't pay a bill, I'm an adult. It's not a privilege to me. I can't monetize compliments. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But let me pull up the Amanda Seals things. I finally found it. But yeah, so they over here saying, oh, is Tyler unlikable? Are you unlikable? Like, stop. Where is it? Yeah, and then here goes them saying the same thing about Amanda Seals. Amanda Seals, Miss Unlikable, made by, again, a fellow light-skinned savior, light-skinned woman, Julesy. And this is no hate to Julesy, shout out to her. I don't really watch her content or anything, but I know, like, she's a woman that's feminist also. So, I'm never going to talk bad about another woman that's talking about that. But, I've seen some of her, takes about other light-skinned women before, and she definitely, I smell the light-skinned saviorism on her, the indoctrination on her. But again, these women are victims. So I'm just like Amanda Seals is a victim of the brainwashing and the indoctrination. So is Julesy. So whenever I speak on these women, I'm not trying to do this to bash them or to say I dislike them or, to try to say anything negative about them. It just is what it is. But yeah, I'm just saying it's always the same narrative. I think that it's interesting that Tyler's unlikable, but so is Amanda Seals. What did Amanda Seals do to be unlikable? Yeah, she can be obnoxious and maybe annoying, but she's done for the Black community. So I think it's interesting that she's likable, but you have people going for a couple who's literally a colorist, misogynist, drug addict. Should I go on? And like Lil Wayne is, when I was younger, he was actually one of my favorite artists. So I can separate the music from the person, but I just think that the double standards are very interesting. Like, the men like Lil Wayne, who have barely contributed anything positive to the Black community, have actually put out extremely low vibrational negativity, have put out nothing but destructive content. Men like that are upheld as pillars to the Black community, are defended, supported. But Amanda Seals, because she's maybe a little bit too much on social media and she raises her voice sometimes, and maybe she hasn't said everything perfect because nobody is, but she's immediately disregarded, thrown away. Never mind the fact that she really puts her money where her mouth is and really does advocate for Black people. So this is why I also say that for light-skinned women, the whole pro-Black thing is not that I'm saying you shouldn't be proud of who you are or want to help or be an advocate for your culture. But I just feel like for Black women in general, there's like literally no payoff, and the level of disrespect and vitriol that we get for no reason across the board, no matter what skin tone you are, to me is delusional to go as hard for the Black community as Amanda Seals does. Like, that whole smear campaign she went on after the whole Shannon Sharp sit down, that would have been the end of it for me. Y'all would have never heard from me again. Like, I wouldn't be doing what Amanda Seals does anyway, but that would have been the end of it for me. Ain't got to tell me twice. Like, anyway, but yeah, between seeing all this Ice Spice stuff and all the rest of these smear campaigns, the way they treat Tyler, and even years back, how they first was treating Kamala during the 2020 run, yeah, I was like, yeah, that's all I need to see. You ain't got to tell me twice. Like, first of all, because I already knew y'all never liked Black women anyway. Like, and I was never one of those light-skinned women who felt like, oh, maybe even though they don't like brown skin and dark skinned women, they like me. I was never one of those women that felt like that. I always knew that the Black community was misogynistic and did not like women at all. So I never felt for the triangulation games. But once I saw the level of smear campaigning, I was like, yeah, I'm really done with this. Like, but anyway, before I move on to this second part of what I want to talk about, I haven't even gone to Cleopatra yet. I'm dead. I always do this ramble. But anyway, yeah, there's definitely a hatred for beautiful hyper feminine women within the Black community. And it's not, and I want to be very clear, because I don't really like to play into the whole feminine stuff. Like, I think that you can be a butch and be feminine. Like, you can be, and I know we don't use that word anymore, but I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but you get what I mean. Like, you can be more mask presenting, you can have more, quote unquote masculine energy. I don't even really try to uphold that stuff, but you get what I mean, just for the sake of descriptive terms. And that still be feminine. You still have feminine energy. To me, studs still have feminine energy. So when I talk about femininity, feminine women, whatever, I'm just purely speaking. I'm not speaking on that in a stereotypical way. I'm just purely speaking on just the concept of femaleness, femininity, like that. Anything associated with women is perceived as weak. It's perceived as beta, it's perceived as manipulative, it's perceived very negatively. And I really think that misogyny and anti-women rhetoric is a huge issue within the Black community that's not being talked about or addressed. And I think that it's been, how do I say this? I think that it's been worsened through hip hop, thanks to men like Lil Wayne and those of his ilk. But I think that it was always there at the same time. There was always this devaluation of Black women, of women in general, of seeing women as not trustworthy, as less valuable. I feel like that was always there, and it's just been heightened with hip hop, because hip hop has a very incel message. Hip hop has a very anti-woman message. So if you have at least 3 generations being raised on that, I mean, no wonder these males are incels, and so are the women. They don't like women either. Like, but anyway, and they view women and beauty and femininity through the lens of misogynists. And that's something that's very scary. So yeah, so when we go back to these concepts of like light skin privilege, or like, that maybe light skin women get more support or things like that, that is kind of where I get irritated with the discussion, because I feel like the way the Black community operates, I don't think that that's necessarily the case. Like, that might be the case in other spaces for Black women. I'm not even saying that Black women are excluded from that being the case, but the way that the Black community operates, and why we on YouTube have been calling it a Black male worshiping culture. If you live in a Black male worshiping culture, you as a beautiful feminine woman is not viewed as valuable. Ice Spice was not in those hip hop comment sections getting praises for being a beautiful woman. You might say, "Oh, her ass is fat, I smash, but her music is whack." But they're hating on her. It's just sexual frustration. But again, like I said, most times, all attention is viewed as currency in the Black community, is not perceived in that way. So that's kind of what I be trying to present here. It's like nobody's presenting how basically not only the public, but just in general, first, the Black community, you could say they kind of, I wouldn't even say they put Ice Spice on a pedestal, but they were really hyping her up. That's what it really is. Light-skinned women get hyped up. They get hyped up and then torn down expeditiously. And they do that on purpose. They hype you up, put you on this high-ass pedestal, make you feel like you're on top of the world. They did this to Megan Thee Stallion. They're currently doing this to Sexy Red. Unfortunately, her smear campaign is coming. I thought it was going to be the sex tape, but, she survived. I'm not one of those people who hate Sexy Red. In my opinion, she's a product of the Black community. If y'all had an issue with Sexy Red, you should have nipped shit in the butt years ago. So no, I'm not gonna hate on Sexy Red when Sexy Red's a creation of y'all. But anyway, yeah, they put these women on this high pedestal, make them feel like they're the best thing since sliced bread, just so they can tear them down on purpose. So if you really read between the lines and you were staying woke since Ice Spice came out, you could have seen this coming. You could have seen that the support wasn't genuine. The compliments were not genuine. That's just, and I'm not saying that they're not genuine in the sense that they don't really view Ice Spice as beautiful or attractive, or don't really see her as a desirable woman, or don't even like her music. I'm not even saying that, but it's performative in the sense that they're building you up so they can take you down a few notches. They're building you up so they can take you down a peg, so they can humble you, so they can turn around and say, "Nah, I don't like her because she's gassed up. She thinks she's better than people. She got her head up her own ass. Oh, she this, she that. Now she saying Ice Spice is a mean girl. Tyler's a mean girl. Again, when Tyler came out, it was the same thing. She was on top of the world. Everybody loved her song. She was so cute. Yada yada yada. Now that she's succeeding a little bit too much, now the narrative has changed, and now they're ripping her down again. So yeah, it's all manipulation. So you can't get too gassed up off the performative compliments, because that's all it is. And like I said, from the beginning of this video, from the start, they have you kind of had to ask. Like, I was always thinking, like, if I was Ice Spice's friend and I was having a real conversation with her, I would say to her, like, from the jump, like, did you feel like people were laughing at you or laughing with you? Because I'm just gonna be honest with you, even on like TikTok and things like that, like, yeah, people are supporting Ice Spice and were supporting her from the jump and like liked her song, but they were also kind of making a meme out of her. They were also kind of making a joke out of her not seeming that smart. They were kind of trolling her. They were kind of making her a troll, kind of making her a meme. People weren't really taking her seriously. And only now have people started to like kind of seem like, okay, she actually has like a little bit of longevity, like how long, her tour kind of did okay, like, okay, what's going on? Like, now they're starting to like kind of take her a little bit more seriously, which is where I feel like the hate is coming from. But when she first came out, people were really like kind of treating her just like she was just like a gimmick, like a troll, basically. Like, and I just was always wondering, like, are they laughing at you, or are they laughing with you? Like, are they enjoying your fame, or are they looking at you as, just like entertainment? Because entertainment is disposable. That's not real love or respect or value. And I'm gonna just be honest with you, I feel like a lot of light-skinned women need to evaluate that. And that kind of goes back to, I feel like Black women in general have a misinterpretation of like attention, unfortunately. And that's not our own fault. It's because we are growing up in a culture like this that sends out a lot of different mixed messages, and it's constant manipulation, and you're constantly, told one thing and then told something else to do. So it's not Black women's fault for feeling that way or for thinking that, but you do gotta kind of at a certain time step back and look at these situations and be like, well, damn, like, is this quote unquote light skin privilege really support? Is it really like, do these people really have my back? Can I really call these people if something happens to me? If all goes wrong tomorrow, are these same people who are supporting me on social media, are they going to be laughing at me, or are they going to be trying to help me? You know what I mean? Like, are these my real fans? Do these people really like me, or are they making fun of me? Are they waiting to see something bad happen to me? Do they really care about my relationship, or are they just waiting to see me get cheated on and left the baby mama? You know what I mean? I think a lot of the attention that light skinned women get, especially on social media, is that weird type of, like she talked about in the video, that hell and attention. Like, it's like they're watching you just to wait on your downfall. And that sounds touche and corny, and it sounds paranoid too. And it's like, bitch, who are you? Like, makes you like nobody's plotting on you that much, but you'd be surprised. Like, people will watch you just because they don't like you, or because they waiting for something bad to happen to you, or waiting to change people's perception of you. And I feel like that is definitely what happened to Ice Spice. And I feel like she didn't see any of that coming. Same thing with Megan Thee Stallion. I feel like Black women do not see this coming because you're not privy to it, especially when you're getting all these messages being told, all these contradictory things, and you're being told that you're getting positive attention for this thing. Then you have to find out the hard way that was all lies. So people are not going to really be honest with you about that, most people. But anyway, let me reevaluate my notes. I think I'm going to move on to the next part of this video. The live, where I'm going to kind of talk specifically about the Ice Spice situation. Not me being on here for a whole fucking hour and I still have not even addressed Cleopatra. Like, oh my God. Let me look at the comments though before. I should have been done that. I'm sorry, y'all. before I move on to the next thing. And I'm like parts too, so I'm gonna need to put a video on because I'm sleepy. I mean, I'm like thirsty. Hey, Irby. Thanks for the support. Oh, what am I mixed with? So do you mean, so I'm MGN basically. So like I'm mixed over the generation. So ethnically, my mother is African American and then my dad is Bahamian and Cuban. So that's like the ethnic mixes. But then genetically would be like West African, European, like England, Spain, Welsh, Scottish mostly, and then a little bit of Seminole and Taino as well. So pretty much the same thing as like most Americans, basically. But yeah, I'm a similar mix to Ice Spice because I think her mother is Dominican and then her dad is African American. So yeah. What else did y'all say? Yeah, Amanda Susie. Thank you. Yeah, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Let me see. What else did you say? That's so funny. That's the thing about being MGM. When people are like, what do you mix with? It's like, you mean ethnically or like genetically? It's like, do you want me to start rattling off like countries or ethnicities? Like, which one do you like? In New York, that's always a funny conversation. When people ask me like, what I am, I'm like, I know you're talking about nationalities, but at the same time, it's like nationalities are not genetics. So it's like, you know, like this is funny. But anyway. You said a lot of dark-skinned women are Ice Spice #1 fans. If they have issue Ice Spice supporter Cleo, then they must be jealous and envious. Yeah. Attention is currency. You said exactly. A lot of light-skinned women are not successful or had mid-careers like Tinashe even back then. Yeah, exactly. There are plenty of light-skinned women who came and went at the industry. So if all you had to do was have a nice booty and a pretty face to get popular, then there should be a lot more women in the industry that are more talented than other women. I'm not trying to say that like in a comparison type way. I'm just being honest. Like especially in the early 2000s, like there was a lot of singers, songwriters that never popped off. I even know like some people personally that never popped off that were amazing singers, songwriters, you know, probably because I'm not even going into that, but you know, a lot goes into fame. It's only 10% talent. Let's just say that. 1 second. Let me get some water though. All right. So now I want to switch gears and start focusing more specifically on like the Cleopatra Ice Spice situation itself and giving some like commentary on that. Honestly, I don't have like that much to say on the situation, you know, like in that way, but how it connects to like this like colorism ink stuff and like these talking points and narratives about light skinned women and how I definitely feel like she used that to her advantage. And so like, you know, I'm not a psychological professional or, you know, a human behavioral specialist or anything like that. But I do think a lot of that is interesting and stuff like that. And when I had first learned about a smear campaign, what that was a couple years ago, like probably over like 4 years ago or so, I first learned about it because I had went through my own situation at work as well, where I had somebody basically against me because they wanted to change the other coworkers' perception of me, and especially because that happened around the same time when I fell out with that girl. You know, when I was younger, I would have just looked at it as like, oh, that's just bitches talking shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's just hating bitches. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would have viewed it in a certain way. But, you know, when I started watching Dr. Ramani, you know, shout out to her, my Indian sis. I love her. Yes. If you're interested in a lot of like psychology, sociology, stuff like that, definitely check out her videos because she really breaks it down in very layman's terms, you know, for somebody to understand. She even talks about like cultural narcissism and things, which I do want to talk about in the future too, because yeah, I want to do some more research, like teach myself more about it, and then talk about it. So I'm speaking from a place of being educated. Anyway, yeah, so that's how I first learned about a smear campaign, because I was watching a lot of those videos and stuff, and I just know. So I noticed, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what was happening at my job, and a lot of times when you phrase things like that, or like if somebody was to hear me talk about that and say it like in a very self-assured way, especially in the Black community, they would dismiss like, oh, this bitch, like she, you think somebody cares about you so much and nobody's thinking about you like that, and da, 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 da. But first of all, you'd be very surprised how calculated people are, but also how calculated people are not at the same time. So do I think that these girls were sitting around contemplating personally, like, oh, I'm gonna say this so I can think this and this and that? No. But do people understand the society they live in and the social cultural environments that they live in, and they know what will get a aroused out of people, just like an abusive boyfriend will know what's getting aroused out of his girlfriend that may be struggling with self-esteem? Like, it's the same thing. Humans understand other human behavior. So even if they're not intentionally going about it in that way, at least when you have these terms, it gives you, it's a way to name and identify the behavior. And that's what I'm trying to do on this channel. Because I feel like for so long, light-skinned people have not had a way or the language to talk about these situations, and they always kind of get watered down, and like they always get like watered down in these very childish ways, and then that's easy for detractors to trivialize it. But if we start using professional terms and professional study behaviors to point out these actions and what people are doing, it's easier to have a conversation from there. If you just say, oh, people hating on me, you know, it's like you've been saying that for years. Nobody cares anymore. You need to come with some receipts and some evidence of what's actually happening, because nobody cares or believes anymore that they're just hating on you because you're light skinned. So you need to show some evidence. So that's why I'm trying to attach language to the behaviors and to the actions of what's going on. Because like I just saw with the Tyler and Amanda Seales situation, it's always the same playbook. If you really look, there's always a pattern. Even with these smear campaigns against these light-skinned mixed celebrities, there's constantly a pattern. And am I saying that these women are perfect? Am I saying that they never said anything ignorant? And am I saying that they shouldn't be held accountable for their role in anything? Absolutely not. And I've held other light-skinned women accountable on this channel plenty of times. Am I saying that I'm perfect and that I handled every situation great, and that I was the perfect coworker at every time and I handled that situation, or even the situation with my friend the best way? No, I'm not saying that at all. You know, there are a lot of things I wish I had done differently in the situation involving my ex-friend. There are a lot of things that could have been prevented before I reacted the way that I did. So I'm not trying to say that I'm a perfect person at all, or that I think Ice Spice is perfect, or Amanda Seales, or even Cardi B. You know, I've called out her bullshit mad times. But two things are true at the same time. Light-skinned women are human and operate in a human way, just like everyone else. And people can also have already preconceived notions about light-skinned women and preconceived ideas about the way that we act or might think, and project that onto us, and that may affect us socially. Two things can be true at the same time. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. You know, I'm not trying to say we're perfect. I'm not trying to say, oh my God, everybody's just hating on us and they don't know why. And no, that's not my angle that I'm coming from. But to pretend like this stuff is not happening at the same time is not true either. Like two things can be true at the same time. Colorism can exist, and light-skinned women can be being honest about what we're saying, dealing with some of the social ostracization and the lightism that we have to deal with. So let me first play I'm trying to think, should I play the smear campaign video first and then talk about my situation, or talk about my situation? I think I'm gonna play the videos first because I really need to drink some water. So give me 1 second. Let me put the videos on, or let me cue them.
I want to talk about the toxic tactic of a smear campaign. A smear campaign is where a manipulator or a toxic person goes to others with half-truths or whole lies to tarnish your name or ruin your reputation. This is done to control the narrative and the story of what others believe about you. Campaigns are typically activated when you decide to put your foot down and say, I'm not dealing with this anymore, or you go against what they want. And the reach of a smear campaign can be endless. That manipulator or toxic person will attempt to go to everyone who will listen. Family, friends, coworkers, employers, pastors, neighbors. Hell, they'll even talk to the postman if they'll listen. You see, when they can no longer control you, they set out to control how other people see you. But while a smear campaign may fully be activated when you put your foot down, it's usually launched far before that. And they do this by secretly and silently dropping little bugs in other people's ears, causing the other people to kind of question who you are. But all of this is done behind the scenes, of course. I remember some years ago, I was at an event with a particular toxic person that used to be in my life, and that person wanted to do something.
Understand this, people, if someone goes to any degree to smear your name, understand this, people will want to agree with people they relate to, even when those people are damn wrong, okay? So people who always play the victim card will flock to people who do the same because it validates their own position, their own toxic position. Let the birds of a feather flock together. Instead of worrying so much about what people are saying or who they're saying it to, if they're posting something about you, if they spreading lies about you, understand that people who want to entertain that kind of garbage will do it, whether it's garbage about you or garbage about somebody else. That's just what they do. That's what they do. Okay? Of course, you just don't like that it's you, but you got to understand, like, they would do that regardless.
So yeah, shout out to those two creators. I think that they did a good job of simply simplifying what a smear campaign is and how they operate. Because, you know, sometimes I say stuff here and I just assume people know what I'm talking about, but it is good to define what exactly I am referring to. So anyway, just to briefly connect like the situation that I went through to why I could recognize that in the situation with what Ice Spice went through. And of course, like I'm not at all comparing myself to Ice Spice. I dealt with this on an extreme macro scale compared to what Ice Spice dealt with. I'm not at all comparing my situation to hers, not even like, you know, in the slightest bit, but just the way that things played out and how this person reacted to the situation is what reminds me of her situation and why I definitely see the correlation between what 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 did as being a smear campaign, as well as what happened with me. So basically, I was working at like a retail store and everything, and I've been working there about 3 years or so. And I eventually been given this lead position, right? And so this girl who had been hired like 6 months probably, she had been hired 6 months like after me. I had been there for years, and she wanted this lead position. And I didn't want any extra responsibilities at this job that I could care less about. So I had even told her, I was like, yo, you can have the lead position. And like, you know, I even talked to the managers and like the leads of the floor. And I was like, yo, she can have this position. You know, she wants the hours and the title and everything. Like, this is not a good job for me right now. Anyways, like, you know, whatever. And their reason was that they were like, well, she just got hired, so we need you to at least be there for a little bit, you know, because you know how the store runs and everything. So I was like, whatever. I'm pointing this out to show that I did try to accommodate this girl. I tried to give her my position, which is what I want, which is what she wanted, right? Again, do you, connecting to Ice Spice situation, do you really think that Ice Spice, being in the position that she is, being one of the hottest artists in the world right now, you really think that she took 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 with her just for shits and giggles, just for a PR look? When I'm not even trying to be mean or be rude to 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢, because I don't have actually an issue with her. I think she's a cute girl. I like her videos and stuff like that. But there are so many more artists in New York that are way more popping than her, have way more clout, that it would have been way more beneficial for Ice Spice to link up with and take them on tour with her. And to be honest, she would have made way more money with other artists from New York. They're way more popping artists than 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 in New York. Like, and it was a huge put on for 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 to be with Ice Spice, regardless of what she wants to say. I'd be outside. I got a lot of friends that work in clubs that are dancers, bottle girls, whatever. You know, I'd be going outside a lot, stuff like that. I'd be in the clubs. We're not listening to 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢's music. There are so many other girls that are on spin that are brown skin and dark skin as well that Ice Spice could have aligned herself with if this was some opportunist as friendship. So I had never heard of 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 before she started hanging around with Ice Spice. And I be in these internet streets, I be in these New York TikTok streets, and I did not know 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 like that. I've seen a few of her videos, but it was way more beneficial to 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 to align herself with Ice Spice than it was for Ice Spice to align herself to 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢. So that was the first reason right there why I didn't have a lot of pity on her situation, honestly. Like, you know, and I'm not saying that, let's say Ice Spice really was treating her like crap, which I don't believe either. I'm not saying you should let somebody that you or make you feel some type of way just for an opportunity, but girl, like, you on a free international trip with the top selling artists in the world right now, and that you got basically put on to. And I don't mean to say that like to say that 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 wasn't, you know, out here grinding before she met Ice Spice, but again, it was more beneficial to her. But you were here complaining about chicken salads and people not wanting to make TikToks. Like, I'm sorry, especially if you ever watched Unsung or heard about any of the stories from artists from the 70s, 80s, and 90s and all the shit that they went through and how they were treated and their tour bus horror stories. I'm sorry, but what 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 was talking about was not all that horrible to me. Like, that's a tale as old as time. People been complaining about their friends in hip hop doing funny shit for years. Like, that wasn't even the worst of it from what I understand, honestly. So again, I'm not trying to say that 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 doesn't have a right to speak her truth or to feel some type of way about whatever went down, but I'm sorry, but because of what, you know, and I don't have no expert information, but you know, I do keep up with the music industry and I like to hear about the behind the scenes a lot. And I've heard about some horrible tour bus experiences. So what 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢 was talking about, I was like, girl, it just seems like you mad because you felt like your friend did some funny shit. You trying to make it a business thing where really it seems like you just mad at your friend. That's how you acting like it was a girl's trip. Like, that's what was really irritating me about this whole conversation. Like, they were talking about this shit like it was a girl's trip. This was not a girl's trip. This was a business trip. This was a business venture. She was up here thinking that they was in Cancun for somebody's B-Day. Like, anyway, I'm jumping the gun. But yeah, so anyway, I tried to help the girl with getting the lead position. I didn't even want it, but of course that wasn't enough for her. So anyway, a few weeks or so had went by, and I just started getting a weird vibe from her. Like, it wasn't like she wasn't doing anything. I just started getting like weird vibes. Like, I would come in the room, she'd be mad quiet with other people and stuff like that. And so come to find out, she had basically been going around the rest of the staff talking shit about me. Basically, and just complaining about me, complaining about having to work with me and everything like that, complaining about the whole situation, telling people how she had worked in the same position in her old job, so she should have the lead and this and that. Like, she was just like, yeah, just talking really negatively about me and basically trying to make it seem like I wasn't qualified at my job. Meanwhile, this bitch just got there and I had been working there, so they knew me, they didn't know her. And at first I didn't know she was talking about me, but it was actually my African friend who's dark skinned that actually told me that she was talking about me, and that she was putting a bunch of stereotypes on me. And like, she was saying like the typical things that they were saying. She was saying that I would come in and not say good morning. She was saying that she didn't like that I would not, I think like I would have my headphones on when they would be talking or something. Like, it was just, she would just find like the smallest things to nitpick me about. Again, you see the pattern. So once I found out and I caught whiff of the fact that she was talking shit about me, like, I'm not, it was a professional environment. So I couldn't handle it in the way that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I would have handled it just out and about at that time. I was still young. I was still like in my early 20s at this time. And when I was like in high school and like coming out of high school into my early 20s, like, I'm not gonna lie, like in high school, I dig into a lot of confrontations and stuff like that. Like, I got into fights and stuff. I was going through a difficult time in my life. So I had kind of started to grow out of that by my junior year, but I was still kind of staticky. I'm not gonna lie. So if it had been a situation like basically like outside, like on the street, basically, or like just in school or something, or like in a friend group, and this girl had been talking about me, I would have definitely like confronted her and like, had a problem with her. Like, I would have really, I would have definitely confronted her about it, and it would have been an issue. But because it was in a professional environment, it was kind of like the first time I had to deal with professional conflict. So I couldn't handle the situation the way I typically would with basically embarrassing bitches. But anyway, so I was like, so I had to basically handle the situation in a more mature way. So that was kind of really bothering me also. And I wasn't sure, but I'm like, should I tell my manager? Should I, like, I didn't know how to handle it. And it's very hard for me to hide my emotions, how I feel about something. So I was trying to keep it classy with her, but just my personality, I know that my energy was giving off like, I know you're talking shit about me. And like, especially after the fact that I thought we was all good, when I did try to get you the position, like I did try to switch with you. So it's not even like I'm over here being a dictator and I was like rubbing the position in your face or anything. Like, you got no reason to be going around bashing me to people. It was just weird. Like, so I was making it a little awkward in the work environment because I was making it clear, like, I didn't fuck with the bitch. Like, so, I wasn't being rude. I was doing my job, but I'm not gonna fake kiki with you. Like, I'm sorry. That's my biggest issue with other women. Like, they always on that fake shit. Like, I'm not fake. Like, if you don't like me, if you're not talking to me, then don't like me. Don't talk to me. Don't try to pretend to like me for whatever reason, because you trying to keep some fake peace. Bitch, fuck you. But anyway, so yeah, anyway, I was acting like that. So she started going around telling people, oh yeah, Ishtar is so rude and she's not speaking to me. Like, I'm trying to communicate with her about work and she's not talking to me, because I eventually cut off all communication with her because there's nothing to talk about. We work in a retail store. It's nothing for us to talk about. So I stopped talking to her. I stopped communicating with her every type of way. And so she started going around telling people that I was a bad coworker, that I was being bossy to them, that I was being rude. She also started telling people that I was being stuck up. She had been saying that, like, I was coming in, that she would be trying to be nice to me and that I would not speak to her. She didn't understand why I was acting like that, and basically trying to play coy, like she didn't understand what the problem was. And one of the things that she was doing was putting all the regular light-skin stereotypes about me, like saying that I was stuck up, saying that I thought I was too good to talk to people, like complaining that I had my headphones on, when they were, not were trying to talk to me, or I wouldn't respond to messages in the group chat and things like that. Like, she was complaining about all that stuff. And I could just tell by the little like stuff she was throwing out, she was definitely trying to play off those stereotypes. So this is where it gets juicy. So there were these customers that we had. It was this mother and daughter. They were these beautiful dark skinned women. If y'all ever know the woman on YouTube, her name is 𝙎𝙤𝙢𝙢𝙧. She's a baddie. But anyway, that's how they look. Like, I always thought, like, she looked like 𝙎𝙤𝙢𝙢 350, 305. No, yeah, that's what her name is, 𝙎𝙤𝙢𝙢 305. So anyway, y'all should go look her up. That's exactly how the mother looked. But yeah, so it was a mother and daughter, and they would always come in, and like the daughter was like a stud. Like, she was like a masculine, like, gay, lesbian woman. Like, she was like a, I'm not trying to be offensive, but she was like a dyke. That's what we call them in New York. So she would always come in, always be flirting with me, always, be saying that I was like mad pretty, always be trying to talk to me, things like that. And they always came in the store, so I knew them. Even the mom knew me, so I would always be chatting up with them, stuff like that. And like they were regular customers, and I had been working there for a while. And like I said, the daughter would always be trying to flirt with me, always be saying that I'm like mad pretty and stuff like that, and always be talking to me. And so one day they was in the store and everything, and I came into like the area that I worked in. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I worked in the fitting room. So I came in the fitting room and everything, and I said hi to them. I'm like, oh, hey, how you doing? And the mom said hi to me, like everything was normal. And the girl did not address me at all. Like, she did not speak to me. She wouldn't even look at me. She was just completely stoned. And I said hi again, didn't say nothing. So I was like, okay, maybe she's like in a moody mood, whatever. So I didn't think nothing of it. So, and of course the fake bitch was in there. So I was on my bougie shit. So I was already not talking, so they were like the only people I spoke to and everything. So I'm outside of like the fitting room folding stuff, and I'm in earshot of what's going on inside of the fitting room. And I hear the fake chick, she's over here talking about she's talking to the dark skin girl that was always flirting with me. And she's like, yeah, cause she just got a stank ass attitude. Like, I'm sick of her. Like, I slap light skinned bitches. So if she want to act like that, it's fine. I don't even care, because I'm sick of this. She been acting like this for weeks, like just popping mad shit, saying that she's gonna slap me. And that's the main thing I heard, is like, she said, oh, I slap light skinned bitches. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I slap all shades. My hands is bisexual and multicultural. So what's up? Like, the only reason I'm sparing you is because my money is involved. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So once I heard that, I was like, okay, so now I really don't care about having to act like that, around her. So I made sure to go back in the fitting room, and I just did some, random miscellaneous stuff. I started to like, pretend to sweep or something, and I've always been like that. Like, ever since I was in high school too. If I feel like chicks is getting panicky and they trying to get froggy, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna just go stand there and see what's up, like, see if the words is matching the actions. So I go into the room, and they got mad quiet, and so that's how I knew that she was talking about me, because the girl who was always trying to flirt with me, she was giving me mad attitude and looking at me, giving me a crazy look, and they just got mad quiet when I walked in, because I don't think that they knew that like I was out there listening. And so I was just like, wow, okay, I see how it is. So it was really hard for me after that, like, to be at work, because like I straight up wanted to fight this girl. Like, I wanted to pop on her. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, I didn't want to talk about nothing. I just wanted to fight her. But of course I cannot do that because we were at work, and eventually the whole word got out of staff and everything into management, and it just really frustrated me. And this is why I really started to look into smear campaigns and like really start to affirm myself, like, no, you're not crazy. You didn't do anything wrong in that situation. You did the best you could do, for what you knew at the time. Because at the time I was thinking, like, maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I did do something to this girl and I just wasn't being self-aware. Like, I was really in my head about it, because I just had never really experienced something like that at work. I had at school, but again, I had never heard of a smear campaign, so I didn't have any words to go with what happened. But anyway, once I started to like learn about workplace smear campaigns, then I got like a hang of like, I started to understand what was going on, because I noticed like she would be going around telling people, like, it was always about my work ethic, like always that I'm a bad employee, always that I was rude to them, that I was being bossy to them. And that's exactly what she had been telling the stud, the lesbian girl. That's exactly what she had been telling her when she was saying that I was being rude. She was like, yeah, she's so bossy to us and she doesn't treat us good and da 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 da. Like, basically she was jealous because the pretty dark skin girl wanted to take me on a date, but I had a boyfriend at that time, so that was the only reason I didn't talk to her. But yeah, she was jealous because that girl had a crush on me. She didn't like that her and the mother liked me, so she wanted to go around telling them negative stuff about me. Mind you, this is a whole customer. Like, talk about unprofessional and ghetto. So because she did not like me, she didn't like that the customer liked me also, that's why she told them that. But anyway, it just got me so mad because my managers were just like, oh, y'all need to work out your problem and this and that, and they never really like did anything to resolve it or anything, and they kind of make it seem like the disrespect was equal. And that's what got me really upset, because I was just like, disrespect is not equal. And it was no way I could prove that. Like, I'm not talking about this girl. I'm not doing her. This started because she wanted my position. Like, honestly, give her the position, because I don't even want the position. Like, that's really what I really wanted. Honestly, I'm like, y'all can give her the lead role and put me in a different group, because I don't want to deal with this anymore. And they were just saying like, no, y'all gotta work out y'all problems. Y'all gotta figure it out. Da 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 da. And so eventually, she actually got moved to a different team, so we didn't have to interact with each other after that. And I think that whole situation contributed to why she was moved to a different team, because they knew it was her. Like, I had been working there for a long time and never had any problems. They knew she was the problem, but they couldn't come out and say that to me, you know what I mean? But I feel like they knew it, because yeah, I feel like they knew it was her. So they moved her. And then like a year or so after that, a couple months after, not even a year, like a couple months after that, I just stopped working there because I had been there for way too long. But anyway, the whole purpose of that story was just to show how people will go around planting seeds about you and showing seeds of doubt about you to try to get people to dislike you, because either they want something that you have or they're using it as like a competitive strategy. Because that's what she was doing. Like, I strongly trying to push me out of that position, trying to get people to not like me, so that it would stand for me. But she was like, kind of like two birds with one stone. And I don't feel like it affected like me socially so much, because I always kept to myself at that job anyway. So I didn't really care how they thought about me. So if it did change people's perception of me, I don't know, and I don't care. But the reason why, how it did affect me, was because like work was always a peaceful place for me. I never had problems. So it's like, she brought a lot of mental stress to my life at the time, on top of the fact that I was dealing with other stuff. In that relationship I talked about, dealing with that fake ass group of friends that I was dealing with. Like, I was dealing with a lot of stuff in my personal life, even stuff with my family and things, and financially and stuff like that. So I had to work a lot. And so not only the fact that I had to work a lot, but I'm also dealing with childish ass drama from weird ass obsessed bitches who are just harassing me for no reason over a position I don't even want. So I was just under like an extreme amount of stress. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I even had like a mental health break at that time. Like, not, a little bit after that, I was just in a really bad place mentally. I'm not saying that just because of that situation, but it all contributed. So people think like, oh, you light-skinned women, y'all just over exaggerating about these situations. Y'all just can't take somebody talking about you. Shit don't be that deep. You don't go through nothing that dark skin when you go through da 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 da. And it's like, I'm not trying to compare my pain to anybody else's or say that it's the same or that it's, you know, or trying to quantify it, but you don't know how stuff affects people. You don't know how what hurts them mentally, you know, or how things, or what people are going through in their private life, and to where it's being compiled with that. So you can't just say, oh, just because on the outside it don't look like it's that hard for light-skinned women, or it don't look like these situations affect you that much. You don't know how it's affecting these women in their head or their personal lives or their friends and things like that. And like, even on top of that, I'm not gonna get too much into this, but even the people in my personal life, they weren't even really that supportive of me. And I kind of spoke about this in the video that I did a few days ago. The people in my life weren't even that supportive of me, because they were gaslighting me and basically saying like, you're not light-skinned enough for them to be talking about you, and basically trying to say that they must have been talking about some other girl. Meanwhile, I was literally the only light-skinned or mixed phenotype having girl in that fitting room group. All of the other girls were African and African American and brown to dark skin. So who the fuck else would they be talking about aside from the high yellow girl with green contacts and a wash and go? Like, who the fuck else would they be talking to? Because at that time, I wore green contacts, and people used to think that was my real eye. So I feel like that was another reason why she was going at me so hard. And I'm, you know, it's no shame in my game. Like, I was wearing contact lenses. That's why my friend had asked me, if you watched the video, I had said that my friend said that I was colorist because I told her she shouldn't get blue contacts, because she actually had got inspired because I was wearing green contacts. So she said, oh, I want to get color contacts too. And I said, oh yeah, you should get hazel or like light brown or something like that. This dumb bitch gonna talk about she want to get blue because she was obsessed with white people and lived vicariously through white women. And I was like, no, you should not get blue because you're gonna look stupid. Mind you, she had a very similar phenotype to like 𝙀𝙖𝙧𝙬. So imagine 𝙀𝙧𝙬 with blue contacts. Bro, what kind of friend would I be as another black girl? Why would I allow another black girl, especially who has that phenotype, to wear blue contacts? Like, you're gonna look ridiculous. Like, and I don't care what skin color you are. I feel like a lot of times blue contacts looks ridiculous. Sometimes it can have an artsy vibe to it. It can be cool for like music videos, things like that. I'm not against the eclectic looks and stuff, but she was talking about wearing contacts every single day. I was telling her, if you want a light color, a light eye color, get a light eye color that matches your phenotype, that matches your skin color. The reason why dudes was dropping dead because of my contacts and everybody was obsessed and saying I look so pretty with my contacts was because they actually naturally fit my phenotype. If I was wearing bright blue contacts, running around as a red bone, people would still think I look dumb as hell with an afro and blue contacts. I would have looked stupid. You know what I mean? So she tried to say that I was colorist for saying that. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, I'm just setting up the pattern of like how sometimes when people see something that they want, or if they see something that you have that they want, they feel like they have to character assassinate you to be able to get there. And it's like, number one, you're not going to be able to genuinely reach your goals by ill-begotten means and by trying to take other women down and lying on them. You're not going to be successful in that way. And also because the truth will always prevail. And also it's not a good look. And you might, like I said, you might get, it might work out for you for the time being. But at the end of the day, people are always going to be looking at you funny. They're always going to be looking at you weird and not really be able to trust you or feel like they're going to feel like, I don't know, you're not going to be viewed as positive as you think you are. People might performatively support you like they do to light-skinned women, but because all of the support towards Black women is performative, so they might performatively support you in that regard, but in the long run, that support is not really going to be there. Like, even right now, people aren't really even talking about Cleopatra like that. Like, she got a little support for a little bit, but not that much in the long run. Like, that longevity and that steam is not going to run off hateration. Even with the girl on my job, like, yeah, it might have seemed like everybody was on code with what she was saying about me and that nobody was defending me or anything like that. And, you know, I was this horrible, like, she thinks that everybody was seeing me as this horrible light-skinned woman, when in reality, people were probably seeing her as a hater. And I don't even like putting that trope on brown-skinned and dark-skinned women, that they like hate or are jealous of light-skinned women, because I think that that's a stereotype, just like I think stereotypes are attached to light-skinned women. But at the same time, that is how people are going to view it. So it's like you thinking you getting one up on me by running around talking shit about me, when in actuality, people probably see the truth because they know me more. So you're not going to come out of the woodwork and start talking shit about me and trying to character assassinate me to people I've been working with for 3 years and we don't know you. So, but anyway, going off these ideas of character assassination, people tend to use confirmation bias as well as stereotypes and optics to to like reinforce confirmation biases. And I spoke about this on my Nara Smith video with confirmation bias. And shout out to, I believe her name, I gotta pull up her name, but there was a girl who made a video. I've shared her videos before, and she pointed this out too, that there's a lot of similarities between the whole Nara Smith situation and also the Ice Spice situation. Oh, her name is Exotical Epiphany. So I'm gonna link her video in the description box. I'm gonna try to remember which one it is that she said it. But yeah, she made a great point that there's definitely a lot of connection between the smear campaign that went on against Nara Smith as well as Ice Spice, because these people are playing off confirmation biases. And if you want to know more about confirmation bias, go check out my Nara Smith video. I'm gonna try to remember to link all of these videos in the description box for the playback gang. But anyway, so let's get into what confirmation bias actually is.
Happen and you don't heal, you'll go through something called, the way that our brain works is that when trauma and different things happen and you don't heal, you'll go through something called confirmation bias. And so what happens is, because I'm looking for this person to be inauthentic, my brain is going to find the evidence of them being inauthentic, even if they're not being that. Right. Because I'm looking to confirm my bias. Everybody is a liar. Every man is no good. So what happens when the good man comes? I'm looking for him to be a bad man because I'm confirming my bias. That's what I believe. And so a lot of times we're not even experiencing the truth. We're not experiencing the truth. Because our brain is working against us. It's confirming what we already think. But our traumas create those thoughts. They create those patterns because a lot of times it's to protect us. If I think every man is no good, it's to protect my heart. If I believe he's no good, I could protect myself. But then when he's good, I'm looking for what's wrong with him. And look, what you're looking for, you're gonna find it.
And I'm going to explain it to you. People, this is one of the most important things to understand about how your brain works. And I'm going to explain it to you in a way that you've probably never heard before. I'm talking about confirmation bias, which is this phenomenon that the brain only looks for evidence to confirm what it already believes, and it ignores everything that contradicts that belief. Like if you believe somebody is a bad person, your brain will only see that which confirms they are bad, and it will ignore everything else, including anything legitimately positive that they might do. The same is true for people you see as good or trustworthy or not trustworthy or unreliable. Why? Because once the brain makes up its mind, it does not like the hard work, the friction of changing it. And our ego, once attached to an idea, an identity, does not like to let go. This distorts not only our perception of other people, but also of ourself. Because if you believe yourself to be bad, lazy, unattractive, incapable, you will only see the evidence that confirms that story, and you will ignore everything else. I'm sure you know people like that. Perhaps you are a person like that. But not only that, you will unconsciously create the circumstances to confirm that belief. That's why, for example, you keep dating people who can't meet your needs or who abandon and betray you. It's not that you think you don't deserve to be loved. You believe you can't be loved. So you choose people and create situations that will confirm that story because that's what feels familiar and safe. The problem, of course, is it's not true that you can't be loved. It's a false conclusion in response to something painful or traumatic from our childhood. So our job is to explain to the child that they got it wrong and to give them, meaning ourselves, the love and attention they were longing for. Because when you change the story in here, everything out there will just take care of itself.
All right, so you guys just saw those two videos. So before I wrap this video up, I'm just gonna wrap up the Ice Spice situation and then move on to how this connects to the Amanda Seales and Cardi B Star Brim situations. I mean, they're not situations, but you get my point. So anyway, after viewing those videos, you can definitely see how people like 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢𝙀 and also Baby Storm, who was Ice Spice's friend that came out against her a couple months ago, how they definitely used confirmation bias and stereotypes and weaponized a lot of this colorism ink rhetoric against Ice Spice. And that is because they were able to read the tone of the room towards Ice Spice, and they could see that the public was fickle and that the public was ready to, you know, turn on her at any moment. So they knew exactly what they were doing by using like the trigger words and bringing up the different stories that they did. And in my opinion, most of that stuff was completely hearsay. So the fact that people had automatically decided, oh, Ice Spice is a mean girl, or Ice Spice is a bad friend, Ice Spice is XYZ, all these negative attributes based off the testimony of one person. And it's kind of like, well, I'm not going to connect to my situation because I'm not going to say that people believed stuff in my situation because I don't necessarily believe that they did. But it really does only take one person to put out an idea about there, especially in a situation like Ice Spice's where you already do have these people gunning for you and looking at you in a very Helen type of way. And so once they hear something negative about you and have an excuse to dislike you, it's easy from there. But going on to like 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢𝙀, like I think it was really interesting that she was over here saying like, oh, Ice Spice is calculated and manipulative, which is again something that they put on like women constantly. When the people who are usually saying it are the ones that are calculated and manipulative a lot of times. Like again, I'm not saying Ice Spice is perfect, but Ice Spice cannot be that calculated if she's over here aligning herself with somebody like 𝙀𝙢𝙢𝙢𝙀 who really is not any benefit to her. And I know that sounds really bad, but I'm sorry, I just don't see what benefit it was for Ice Spice to align herself with 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙀 in the way that people are talking about it. And they're like, oh, she was being friends with her for the optics, which I mean, I'm not going to jump the gun, but, and again, I'm not trying to put 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙀 down or devalue her as a person, but it's like, I don't see how looking from the outside looking in, anybody could take this situation and perceive it that way. That just shows you that makes people delusional. Because if you can look at the situation and think that Ice Spice needed 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙀 for anything, and that it was anybody benefited except 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙀, like I don't see how Ice Spice benefited in the situation. I don't see how Ice Spice was getting a come up or anything, or being 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙀's friend. They were trying to say that Ice Spice was jacking her style. I don't see it. They don't have the same type of style, and 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙀's style is not even original enough for it to be taken. I mean, like I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like some of the arguments that are used against Ice Spice are just don't even align. And it's like, it's kind of what I was talking about, like in my stands video when I was talking about Normani. It's like y'all be giving these girls sympathy, support, and then you make them look silly when you could just be supporting them to just be supporting them. You don't have to support them in spite of light-skinned women and then put out ideas out there and make them look silly. Because to say that it was a benefit to anybody except 𝙀𝙀𝙢𝙀 herself to be friends with Ice Spice and to align herself with Ice Spice, and then it didn't work out in her favor, or she didn't get the payoff or return that she thought she would. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I do kind of be agreeable to people when they say that like a lot of millennials and years, they do have like an air of entitlement to them. Like I'm sorry, like you know how people would have viewed that opportunity 15 years ago 20 years ago. Not only just the fact that somebody like Ice Spice was able to come up really fast, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, Ice Spice is like doing charity work for Cleopatra or anything like that, but like to be in the position that Cleopatra is in at this moment was so unachievable years ago, and she even got it quickly in a sense as well, because there are people who are influencers on TikTok and social media for years and never get that opportunity and never get as big of a push as quickly as she did also. So I kind of understand where they're coming from, because it's like you were in this position and maybe it didn't work out in the way that you thought it would. So now you take into social media and trying to blow everything up, which in the long run is really going to hurt you more, because people in the industry are not going to take you seriously or want to really truly align with you. And I spoke about this earlier. If they see that behavior from you, like why would somebody turn around and be like, oh, I'm gonna put Cleopatra on after they saw how they did Ice Spice, and the optics of the situation show that it was more of a benefit to her. So that's just not showing. It's not a good example of Cleopatra's character, in my opinion. And I think that it's telling that the only people who are publicly really reaching out to her to do business is Azalea Banks. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like, even though I actually like Azalea Banks, I think she's funny, even though she be kind of bashing light skinned women too. A lot of stuff she says is facts, and you know, I have a thing for crazy women. Take one to know one. But anyway, even though you know, I definitely believe that there's a you can see that there's a reason that Azalea Banks is the one offering an opportunity to Cleopatra and nobody else. And probably because they have very similar personalities. If you immediately think that blowing somebody's spot up on social media is a good strategic business move, then, you know, like she does, Azalea Banks often does, then I don't know what to tell you. And again, I'm not saying that you should take abuse or take mistreatment or let somebody disrespect you just because they're famous or because you want to be put on. But from what Cleopatra was saying, it just seemed like she just got irritated with her friend, and she got mad and came to social media because she knows her friend has a whole audience. And so because now she's mad at her friend, now she's trying to weaponize her friend's audience against her. That's how it looks to me. Like I'm sorry, I just don't see any benefit to Ice Spice. It was to align with Cleopatra. So in my opinion, it was a completely one-sided business relationship in that regard. I'm not going to say, I can't speak on their friendship, the ins and outs of it, you know, who showed up for who emotionally, but that whole little rant and how quick it was, mind you, this girl didn't even let the ink dry on the finished tourist dates yet. Like they didn't even park the bus yet, and this girl was on social media, TikTok, complaining about her. That's another reason why I couldn't take it seriously. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, and you know, people could say, "Oh, it shouldn't matter when somebody comes out or says something." It doesn't, but it kind of does, depending on the situation. You get what I mean? Like, that's a very situational argument. Like when it comes to something like this, if she had said this maybe 6 months from now, 4 months from now, a year, I would have been like, you know, it had more receipts, more explanations on the business end, because I don't see how you have a whole management team, but you're going on an international store and you're going on a nationwide tour with the biggest celebrity, well, one of the biggest celebrities out right now, but your management team doesn't provide you with anything. They don't even try to throw you a bone. They don't even try to send a stylist with you. They don't even try to send you with a stack of money or anything. Something about her story is not adding up to me, and I don't think she's telling the whole truth about the business end of things. Again, I'm not talking about their personal ins and outs of their relationship or friendship, even though I do have an idea of how that probably went down too, just by the text messages. I was sitting there trying to zoom in, you know, looking behind her head, trying to see all the text messages, you know, trying to get an idea of like their relationship. You know, trying to get as much information as I could so that I wasn't on here just sounding extremely biased and, you know, anti-Cleopatra. I do try to be balanced in my commentary, and when analyzing these situations, I didn't want it to seem like I was just blindly just taking Ice Spice's side because she's light skinned too. Because that's never what I'm doing on this channel. Trust me, I put a lot of thought into my arguments and the stuff I say. But anyway, yeah, I'm not buying Cleopatra's story about the business end of things. That doesn't make any sense to me, that she has a whole management team and went on tour with, even if it was short notice, that sounds ridiculous to me. And if her management team had her out there stranded begging for chicken salads in the middle of the desert somewhere, that's on her management team. That's not on Ice Spice. Mind you, Ice Spice is not that big of an artist right now. So her reach and her resources are limited also. So the fact that you thought this was some type of girls trip and you was about to be, you know, y'all was about to be Paris and Nicole Richie. Like, y'all thought y'all was about to be living the simple. You thought you was about to be living the simple life on tour with Ice Spice. You was getting a girl trip, but this was a business arrangement. It was a business trip. So I don't think Cleopatra was honest with the audience about the business side of stuff that she was talking about, because that sounds ridiculous. I don't see how anybody could be just on the road again with the biggest name artist, one of the biggest artists in the world right now, and your management team just provide you with nothing. That's on your management team. But anyway, let me think. Do I want to keep going, or let me see? Because I kind of already touched on a lot of stuff that's in my notes. Oh, I did want to touch on a few different things though. So yeah, Cleopatra was just extremely calculated with the timing of when she did this. She also went on this little rant the same week where the whole controversy about Nicki Minaj unfollowing JT and Ice Spice, she did it the same week, so she knew exactly what she was doing. She was jumping on whatever was hot, and Baby Stormy did the same thing, and she tried to bait the barbs. So these women, they're saying that Ice Spice is calculated, but they're extremely calculate themselves, and they be knowing exactly what they're doing. And the connection that I know between Baby Stormy and Cleopatra was that they were both women that were trying to get things on social media and trying to build their own platforms. And they were getting their own like established fan bases and like making numbers and things like that. But aligning with Ice Spice put their trajectory in a completely different other place. And if you go back to that video that the first video about smear campaigns, and she said that smear campaigns are typically activated when that person puts their foot down. So I definitely believe that that was the situation that happened between Stormy and Cleopatra. I feel like something was either cut off or something wasn't given, and this actually happened to me in the situation with my friend also. There was some type of boundary set, and that set them off, and that's when they decided to turn against her. So yeah, and before, and even with the whole, not only was Cleopatra trying to allude to Ice Spice being a colorist and things like that, she also tried to say that Ice Spice is demonic. Like, if you actually felt like she was demonic, why were you hanging out with her? Like, it sounds like y'all both must be demonic. And it's funny because they have all these negative attributes about us and all these negative things to say about us, but it's like, why was you sitting up being my friend then? If I'm a transphobe and I'm a colorist, why was you sitting up in my house being my friend trying to smoke my boyfriend's weed? Like, I'm confused. If I'm so hateful, why were you always trying to be in my face? Like, I'm confused. Like, I'm a mean coworker, but you constantly trying to talk to me and making small talk with me for no reason. When I have my headphones on, they're getting offended that I have my headphones on. Like, these bitches are weird. They don't know what they want. Like, they don't know if they want to fuck you or fight you. Like, anyways. So yeah, both of these women were trying to get an emotional response from specifically Black people. And so they were hitting on a lot of these trigger points to evoke that emotional response. So whether it was bringing up race or trying to keep implying that Ice Spice was a colorist, or bringing up the whole demonic thing, none of these things have actually anything to do with Ice Spice's true character or how she actually treated them. Again, it's planting seeds, and it's building up to they're playing off the buildup of the smear campaign. So if they're already throwing little ideas out there, they know culturally there are already these negative ideas out there about women that look like Ice Spice. It's easy to play off those tropes down the line. And they were definitely trying to, I definitely could tell that Baby Storm was trying to initiate a pile on of Ice Spice, and Cleopatra just was actually successful in that. That's the only difference. And so I just want to move on to the whole like Cleopatra saying that Ice Spice told her that she should have defended her and said that she was Black with the whole Nigerian situation, when people were complaining that Ice Spice was Nigerian, or when they were getting mad about that whole situation. And when that happened, I automatically knew that people were going to get triggered about that, because I knew what she meant when she said she was Nigerian. I knew what she meant because, first of all, most people who were trafficked from Africa were from West Africa, and a large number of those people came from Nigeria. So if you take a DNA test, most of the largest African group it will probably show up as is Nigerian. So I was 57% Nigerian, and out of everything that I was mixed with, it was the most Nigerian. So I knew exactly what Ice Spice was saying when she said she was Nigerian. Also, a lot of Afro-Latin culture directly comes from like Yoruba culture, Nigerian culture, even in Haiti, a lot of that stuff is like Igbo culture. Like a lot of even our food directly like is a remix of Nigeria. So I understood what she was saying when she was like, "Oh, I'm Nigerian," but I was also kind of cringing because I knew how people were gonna perceive that. Like, because it's like, yeah, we are Nigerian, we do have Nigerian in us, and we're heavily associated with Nigerian, but if we say that we're Nigerian, they're not going to accept that, even though Nigerians can come over here and say that they're African American, but that's neither here nor there. That's a video for another day. But we cannot say that we're Nigerian, basically, because then it's going to be, you're going to get that reaction. So I already knew that people were going to be triggered when she made that comment. Even though I knew what she meant, I knew how people were going to perceive that. So I knew that was going to catch back up with her. But yeah, so when Cleopatra was like, "Oh yeah, you should have at least defended," said that Ice Spice said that you should have defended her and said that she was Black. Like, I don't believe that, because I just don't believe that. Like, because they want to put out this idea, and they have this idea of us that we have these like identity issues where we need people to say that we're Black, or we need people to say XYZ things, and they know that other people have that idea also, so that might seem believable. But just as another like mixed light-skinned woman, like, I just don't believe that she said that, because number one, it makes no sense. Why, if they're talking about the whole Nigerian thing, why would Ice Spice need Cleopatra to say, "Oh, you could have at least said I was Black"? But in my opinion, in the United States, Ice Spice is obviously Black, so why would she need somebody to say that she's Black? It's the first thing that whenever somebody is saying somebody said something that's so obviously like clear statement, but they're speaking in generals, it's like, how did that person know to say that to perfectly align with your story and your narrative? Funny. I don't believe that Ice Spice said that at all. I don't believe Ice Spice said, "You should have told me that, you should have at least said that I was Black," because why would Ice Spice need another Black woman to say that? That's stupid. So I don't believe that shit at all. She's saying that because she's trying to invoke a response out of the audience, and she's trying to make people think that Ice Spice is a racial interloper, and that she needs other Black people to affirm her Blackness. That's exactly what that was. So again, she was bringing up all these extra things that have to do with race and skin tone and spirituality, all this shit that's irrelevant. That don't got jack shit to do with the tour, with your chicken salad, with you opening the show. That none of that got anything to do with the situation at hand or business. So it's very obvious that you're hitting at Black people's trigger points because you're trying to invoke emotional response, and you're taking advantage of the optics of the situation. And so another thing that I found funny was that Cleopatra was like, "Oh yeah, she was keeping me around as the dark-skinned friend." And this was another narrative that I saw on social media. A lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, Ice Spice was keeping Cleopatra around so that she could get her sauce, and that she wouldn't seem colorist, and this and this and that." And that just also shows, again, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because in one breath, they're saying that Ice Spice only was friends with Cleopatra because she was trying to steal her sauce, and because she needs Black girls around her to affirm her, and this and that. I'm sorry. I'm from like a neighborhood over from Ice Spice. Nobody who's growing up uptown needs other Black people to affirm our Blackness. Trust me. Like, we are not over here looking for validation from other Black people. Like, I wish I would leave that trope alone. Are there other mixed and light-skinned people who need that? Yeah, absolutely. But most light-skinned and mixed people in New York, we're very sure ourselves. We're very sure who we are. We don't need y'all little stamps of approval and things like that. So I don't believe that. But anyway, if Ice Spice was only friends with other light-skinned women or other Spanish girls, then they would say she was a colorist and that she was exclusionary. But now that she's friends with these two dark-skinned women, dark skin, brown skin, whatever you want to call them, now that she's friends with them, now it's, oh, she's only friends with them to steal their sauce. Oh, she's keeping them around for looks or whatever. Like, I don't even understand what the background to that talking point is, honestly. But I thought that was really interesting too, that they were like complaining about Ice Spice keeping a lot of dark skinned women around her and saying that she's trying to make them like her sidekick and shit. And that just shows how much internalized inferiority you have if you automatically think that a light skinned woman wanted to be friends with you or putting her friend on and bringing her in pictures and stuff like that is automatically a slight, or she wants you there just to, you know, make her look good. Like, that's a very toxic way of thinking in itself. And that just shows me that you have a certain mentality there that's very concerning. And it's easy for you to go along with this confirmation bias stuff because you already have a certain idea about light-skinned women. If you can't even believe that light-skinned women could be genuine friends to you, or that it's not anything sinister behind why someone would just reach out to you, then you just have other problems and you're just projecting that. And I wish you would. And it's not fair that people get to project onto us and we have to, as a society, believe that as fact and just go along with what these people are saying because they have more social clout and influence than us. But if we say anything about the other group, then it's automatically, I think that's really unfair. These women definitely weaponize balance, and they know there is an imbalance in the discussion, that they know that they can plant seeds and use these emotional trigger points from other Black people to get attention, to like get people on their side. But anyway, so I want to move on and connect that to the Amanda Seales situation. Well, actually, let me what do I want to do? Well, since I'm talking about Cleopatra and this friendship thing, let me first connect this to Cardi B and Star Brim situation. So I was gonna play this video. Child, I've been on here. It's not even that I've been on here for a long time, but it's that I had to work in the morning, and I told myself like, "Oh, make it quick, girl, because you know you got to go to sleep." But I knew I was gonna be rambling because I had a lot to say about this topic. Give me 1 second. I hope this girl don't copyright me. Let me do this.
Spice did her wrong because she's brown skinned, and she only brought Cleopatra along because she's a rapper, and that's exactly what she did. Well, moving on to the next topic, you guys know Ice Spice was exposed by her best friend Cleopatra. And a lot of people was bringing up the simple fact that Ice Spice is light skinned and her best friend or ex-best friend is a brown skinned woman, and Ice Spice did her wrong because she's brown skinned, and she only brought Cleopatra along because she was a brown skinned token best friend. And a lot of people know that Cardi B has a best friend, Star Brim, and she's a brown skinned woman and Cardi B is light skinned. So I guess a lot of people tried to compare and contrast Cardi B and Star Brim with Ice Spice and Cleopatra, and she didn't like that, so she decided to take to Twitter Spaces, and here's what she had to say.
So anyways, but I just wanted to get on here and say something because I'm seeing like a lot of debates about my friendship with one of my very, very close friends, comparing what I have with other people and stuff like that and whatever. I want to make this very clear. Don't compare my friendships, don't compare my situations to anybody's shit. That's one. All of my friendships, even with the people I work with, are 5 years plus. I don't know why y'all see me, a light skinned girl with a brown skinned girl, a dark skinned girl, and y'all want to compare what I have with my friends with somebody else's shit. Don't do that, because we don't do that. Also, I also have a lot more friends. Everybody know who are my friends. My friends are, my dancer friends that I met in the dance, and when I was dancing, we don't really be talking about that, or that's not our lives. It's not our life. We are in our 30s. We both have kids, and we're very, very, very much lover girls. Like, we are real lover girls. We've been friends for even post and have a long to talk to bitches. Know how many tears I cried with my bitch? Know how many tears we have cried? Know how many personal things they like my friends, when it comes to Keita, Ashanti.
All right, that's pretty much all I wanted to say, but I didn't really care about the other stuff she was talking about. But yeah, they were really trying to make a comparison between their two situations, and that just shows you how sick and depraved in the head some of these people are, that they cannot fathom to see a light skin and a dark skin or brown skin girl together and take the whole skin color politics out of it. And that's what's really sad, because it's like, a lot of women, especially a lot of light-skinned women, we just be out here trying to make friends, trying to like build a clique or things like that. But sometimes you have to deal with people having assumptions about what your intentions are or what you want to be, what your reason for wanting to be around them is. And I'm not trying to make other light-skinned women paranoid to say, oh, all these people are hating on you or gunning for you or this and that. But unfortunately, this is a real thing that you have to take into consideration, especially nowadays where other Black women are brainwashing other Black women to think this way. And it is brainwashing. When you're constantly propaganda and a certain narrative message about you, you're constantly attaching negative attributes to things that change or way people look, that is propaganda. That is stereotyping. And if you're constantly reinforcing something and constantly showing, quote unquote, showing examples of this, then the public is eventually going to succumb to these ideas and believe this narrative, which is why they're pulling out random friend groups and trying to accuse colorism of being in the mix. It's like, what is even the connection between Cardi B and Ice Spice and Star and Ogre and Cleopatra? What? Because they both Dominican and light skin, and y'all have an obsession with Dominicans, like I've already said. And what's also ironic about this is that when that whole situation between Ice Spice and Cardi B happened, where I guess somebody was coming at Cardi B because of her race, and they compared her to Ice Spice, and Ice Spice jumped in and basically said, well, I'm actually Black and you're not. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't really like when she did that, because number one, I don't like when other mixed and light-skinned people jump in onto other mixed and light-skinned people being ostracized or othered, and they say, oh, well, I'm actually Black, you're not, or I'm this and that. And I don't like when they do that, because ultimately you look silly at the end of the day, because, and Ice Spice is now seeing why she looks silly, because if they were that fast to turn on Cardi B, and they're saying that about Cardi B, someone who's way darker than Ice Spice, like, then what do you think that they would say about you? Like, and that's the thing about it. It's like, it's really like survival of the fittest out here with light-skinned women. Like, they will throw each other under the bus, or throw other Spanish girls under the bus, other Afro-Latinas under the bus, all to save themselves or to get social protection. And then 6 months down the line, that same energy is turned back around on them. And so I'm not saying that you have to defend every light-skinned girl or be every other light-skinned girl's friend or support them or get along with everyone. I'm not saying that at all. But if you see another light-skinned or mixed or Hispanic girl came for about their race, why would you then basically agree with the people that's coming against that person? but then think that they may not turn around and have that same vitriol towards you. Like, that's what I never understand about other light-skinned and mixed people. Like, if they're saying that about that other Spanish girl, why wouldn't they think that about you? Like, Ice Spice, like, mind you, like, you know, and I'm not trying to like play the skin color comparison game. I just think that's really ironic. Like, if I was Ice Spice, I would have completely stayed all the way out of that. And it's like, Ice Spice, who are you to say that Cardi B is not black when people now are saying that you're not black? Like, and I even talked about this, how I had a Afro-Latina friend that was the same way and said the same thing about Cardi B too. And that's why I'm saying, when people that say always rules for these, not rules for me. Like, they have all these different standards for other mixed people, but then a different set of standards for themselves. Like, if Cardi B is not black, then I don't think you're black either, Ice Spice. That's what I'm saying. There's never any intellectual consistency to any of this logic. And I would say the same thing about the monoracial African Americans or Africans or Caribbeans, whoever, that's saying Ice Spice is black, but Cardi B is not black. What makes Ice Spice black, but Cardi B not black? And then y'all try to use the xenophobic excuse that, oh, well, Ice Spice's father is African American, which in my opinion, that's a form of xenophobia and is very American centric because, you know, I hate to be that person, but America is just a boat stop, like literally. So I don't see how y'all can look at Dominicans and be like, oh, that person, that light-skinned person is not black. But then an African-American light-skinned person who looks the exact same way, I've said this before, y'all will say that that person is black. So we didn't even see Ice Spice's father or any of her parents until relatively recently, yet y'all automatically assumed and accepted her as black, but we're saying Cardi B is not black. Like, there's just never any intellectual consistency. And again, I don't care whether y'all view either of them as black. I really don't care. I'm not here to discuss that. I'm just pointing out that there's zero intellectual consistency because I'm still trying to figure out how Ice Spice is black and Cardi B is not. Anyway, that's a story for a different day. You know, I don't care, but the math is not matching with that. But yeah, now Ice Spice is getting the same treatment as Cardi B, and she's having to learn the hard way, and she's getting her light skin wake up call. And what's also interesting is that when Cardi B came out, there was an organized smear campaign against her as well. And again, it was also quote unquote old friends of hers that came out trying to bash her, claiming things about her, and they said the same thing. They said that she was colorist and racist. That's where all those tweets came out from. It was literally the exact same thing as Ice Spice. So I think it's just really ironic that she ended up, you know, being made to look silly with the whole Cardi B situation, because then Nicki Minaj ended up unfollowing her like a week later, and that bar started to attack her. Again, performative support. So she thought she could, you know, she was safe to where she could, you know, have a kiki at Cardi's expense, and then look what happened. So it's like, I don't like to see how Ice Spice is being attacked because of her race and skin color right now. But let's be fucking for real. Like, you know, like you know, you didn't think that energy could come back to you for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, and they were definitely trying to push that with Cardi B and Star. They were definitely trying to push that whole black girls versus Spanish girls narrative, just like they were trying to do with Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, which is ironic because I'm pretty sure that Star Brim is Latina also. I'm pretty sure that Star Brim is Panamanian. So it's just very interesting how they were trying to do that, because Star Brim is Spanish also. So I don't understand why y'all was trying to push that black girls versus Latinas thing, because in New York that's really not even a thing. Like that's maybe a thing online, but it's not a thing in real life in New York City where people actually live together and have to commingle and stuff. But anyway, so to wrap this video up really officially, the last thing I'll be talking about is how Amanda Seales' situation connects to Ice Spice's situation, and how what happened to Amanda Seales was perceived completely differently than this whole Ice Spice Cleopatra situation, even though in my opinion it was worse, and there's actually real life evidence to what Cleopatra was saying. So I'm sorry, to what what's that girl's name? Amanda Seales was saying. Then I'm going to go to sleep. So give me 1 second, let me pull up the clips.
You know, I've been humiliated and I didn't do nothing. And that was the night that me and my homegirl became super, like that became my sister, because she was like, when you would tell me that shit would happen to you, I would think she must be keeping something out.
Right.
But I literally just watched you do nothing. You literally just came somewhere you were invited.
Right.
And even though you tried to leave, multiple people said, no, you belong here. Multiple people, another person on this team said, you belong here, so I'm bringing you in here. And then when I tell the story on my Instagram and on my podcast, it ends up getting turned into this whole other thing of you don't belong here. Amanda Seals doesn't belong here. And that's the thing, that's a narrative that has come about. Like,
that's
I don't
perpetuated.
Yes, I don't belong in these places. And what ended up happening 2 days later is that I got a call from Issa. And she called me and said, hey, I heard what happened this weekend. I just want you to know I have nothing to do with it. Would you be willing to talk to Vanessa?
No, I tried to talk to Vanessa at the party. Shit, 2 days too late.
So I've never talked about this publicly because it has always been incredibly important to me to protect Issa. Because I know that Issa is doing something within this business that so few people get to do. And it's not something I desire to do. Like, I'm not interested in getting $100 million production deal. Like, that's not a life that I want for myself. But I know that her role is very important. And so I've always protected Issa. However, there's just been enough instances at this point where I should have been protected by Issa and I wasn't. And one of my biggest problems that we have discussed several times in this interview is that I think people are going to show up for me the way I show up for them. And now it's at a point where my protecting of Issa has become turned on to me and something that people are using against me. There's a whole narrative that is completely false that people keep spinning. They keep saying, you know, that I'm this mean girl on this set, that I harmed these people on this set. I just want to point out something very basic. How can I be a mean girl on the set that ain't my set? How? It's your show. You are my boss. I don't even have the capacity to be the mean girl here because you can fire me. So there's no way for me to be a mean girl in this situation. And I know some people that may buck up against like the confirmation bias that they've created, but it simply is the truth. You know, when I got to that show, I had a show on Issa's website on YouTube. I had my show, Get Your Life. And when it came out on her YouTube, the press picked it up as Issa Rae's new show.
Right.
But she didn't do anything except put it on her site. Like, I put all my money into it, I wrote it, I started, etc. And so I said, hey, you know, would you mind, you know, tweeting to Shannon Sharp?
I'm just saying, because you
can't spell Sharpton without Sharp now.
So
who's my boss? And from just day one, but it didn't change my view of her character. Like, it just let me know, like, this how it is. But in that time, her publicist was interacting with me and was from just day one, just so assertive, like just trolling for no reason. This is to the publicist, like, can you please try and be kinder to Amanda? She's like a talent on our channel.
You have no reason why she would behave.
So Issa says, would you talk to Vanessa?
No.
I said, sure. You know why? Shannon Sharp.
I just
want you to know that, so none of this feelings were hurt. I just got assaulted in a party for Black people in Hollywood. And I've been in Hollywood longer than majority of the people in this fucking party.
Right.
My feelings are hurt.
Okay, you take the call. Hello?
Hi, Amanda, this is Vanessa. I just want you to know that, so none of this has anything to do with Issa. That's the first thing she says. None of this has anything to do with Issa. So I just want you to know that, but I do want you to understand that it was me who kicked you out the party. Okay. So, I just want you to know that the reason I kicked you out the party is because I don't like you. Okay. Well, that's all I need to know. There's nothing else for us to talk about. And I hang up. She calls me back immediately. Why'd you hang up? I said, because there's nothing else for us. Then calls me again. Says, hey, I'm gonna be a problem with that. That had never been brought to my attention. She starts going around saying that I got in a fight at the party. She starts going around saying that I peed on the floor with the publicist. And I get off.
Your boss. And I don't do the gossip thing. So have you ever had a conversation with Issa about this situation, about her publicist?
You're saying since the situation?
At any point.
Well, I had that one time where I said to you.
Yeah, and she said, well, that y'all need to work that out. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
So now after this conversation with the publicist, and I get off the phone, I start getting word that she is going around to the different publications and different people, because it starts coming back to me. Mm-hmm. And she's going around saying that I was in danger of getting fired from Insecure, which honestly, I don't even know if that was true or not, but that had never been brought to my attention. She starts going around saying that I got in a fight at the party. She starts going around saying that I peed on the floor at the party.
What are you, a puppy?
I gotta move it to the side. Like, what are we talking about?
Let me ask you this.
So, I'm gonna answer your question.
Okay.
So, Issa then calls me again and says, hey, I just want to know if this is going to be a problem on set. Because now this is going on for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And this going viral, earlier in the conversation, you were like, why do you care if people who don't know you, mm-hmm. like, are saying mean things about you? And it's like, I wish I had that. And I'm at a point in my life where I'm there. No. But it's really up when the pylon happens and it has nothing to do with reality. Like, I don't even mind a pylon if it's something I really did. Right. This situation, I'm like, how am I the villain in this situation? Well, you shouldn't have gone to her party because it was her party. Well, it's not just her party. There's several people at the party. It's not like I crashed her baby shower. Right. But also I'm looking at Issa because it's like, this is your responsibility. We are both your employees. Mm-hmm. And this is a part of leadership. This is the important part of leadership. And that's what makes leadership so annoying, is you got to manage people. Yes, you do. And personalities. And it's a very difficult task. But it is par for the course. Yes, but that's why you get to talk to her. It's me, because now the press is canceling. Now you don't feel the intervention to go any further. Oh, sorry. So I'm also promoting my book. Right. So this hits me because now the press is canceling. So this is now affecting me professionally. And I didn't do shit. Right. And I don't like you, in my opinion, is not a sufficient reason to sick 4 security guards on me and remove me from a black space. Right. Which also begs the question, what the is a black space? Because we like to claim that they're safe spaces, mm-hmm. and that they're for us. But at this point, black spaces are it's just black faces. Right. And that even is, something to do with this pressure that I've been going through. But to stay on course. So now we have to go back to shooting. Uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. And I ain't even on set. And nobody's saying nothing to me. Everybody knows, because at this time, it's just the women shooting. Everybody knows what's going on. They don't say nothing to me. And that's just fucking mean. It's mean. They don't say nothing to me. And let me tell you, from the beginning, I've been trying with these ladies because I want to make community everywhere I go. I invited them to my house. They didn't come. I brought them gifts. They said thanks. I tried to plan a retreat. They said we don't want to go. I created our group chat for the show. I created game nights for the show. Nobody participated. I mean, eventually, but like reluctantly. But I'm trying to do this, because I think that it's like when I walked in and I was like, I feel like it's my role to make you feel comfortable. Like, I feel like that's my way of getting around this thing, this stigma that people like to put on me that ain't got shit to do with how I really exist. Okay. And in this situation now, I'm publicly now being like excoriated. You got this earthworm Jim looking nigga, Sarunas, out here talking.
I'm sorry. I'm fucking screaming. When she called Ceruleus Jackson, just for context, that's Keke Palmer's baby daddy's brother. Bro, they really are some earthworm gym looking ass niggas. Like, they really are. Like, do not believe the lie that all light skinned people are attractive. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I'm just leaving that there. Like, yo, when she called him earthworm Jim looking nigga, yo, I fell out. That is too funny. I'm definitely gonna use that.
Again, if we hate Amanda, because it was I ain't nobody coming to me. I said, I'm literally coming to you right now. Again, if we hate Amanda, because it was a bandwagon and he wanted to be seen. He thought maybe he was going to get an extra, right. He thought he was going to get an extra scene or something. So now we're on set and I finally say to Issa, so we're just not going to talk about this? Because it's now going on for 3 weeks and my mental health is suffering. Okay. And it was a tough time. And she's like, well, you know, like, what do you want to talk about? I said, listen, like, this was a terrible experience.
Right.
This was terrible. I like literally cried like face to face with her, like, this is terrible. And she's like, this is the first time she finally says, like, well, I'm sorry that happened to you. It took 3 conversations. And I said, well, you know, I'd like to talk to you further because I need you to speak to Vanessa. She is trying to ruin my career. She's like, I don't think so. I'm like, she's trying to ruin my, like, so I bring her into the room. I bring her into my trailer and I had to do another 48 Laws of Power. I sat her on a higher plane than myself so that she can feel as the queen. And in this setting, she is the queen.
Right.
And I say, you know, I don't need nothing from you. So I don't have a reason to lie to you. But the people that work for you, like in close quarters, whose names are really attached to you, they will lie to you. And I had to convince her that, like, this is really happening. Like, I'm not making this up. And even if turns out to be not happening, I still need you to speak to her to deduce what is or isn't.
Right.
So then she finally went and spoke to her. The damage is done. Right? Because now you see how every few years this becomes a thing. And it was started from a lie.
Right.
It was started from a lie. And, you know, it's not about convincing people because I don't need to convince nobody of nothing. But I just don't ever feel comfortable with people forming opinions not based on truth. Shin, I got in trouble for saying nigga on Insecure. I got in trouble for telling a brother he was a revolutionary nigga. I was like, damn, you the only revolutionary. I mean, where we at? And she was like, well, what's going on with you? Who made you feel that way? That's not fair to you. Come on, rise up. It's gonna happen. He's like, I don't know. I was like, oh my. After this, I said, can we go to dinner? I want to take. It felt like it. So now we got to shoot the car scene where we're driving in Malibu. What's gonna happen? He's like, I don't know. I was like, oh my God. I said, you know what? I apologize for calling you nigga. I did not intend to offend you. Of course, in my head, what I said was, I should have called you a bitch, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But it felt like it.
Right.
It felt like it. So now we got to shoot the car scene where we're driving in Malibu.
Right.
So we in the car and I'm telling them about what happened and I start crying because I'm a sensitive soul and because this felt like another instance where I was being like bullied. Issa laughed in my mother's face as I was crying and said, well, you know, you do have a tone. At the end of season 1, I pulled Issa aside after this. I said, can we go to dinner? I want to take you to dinner. I took her to dinner. I said, you know, I feel like you think I have something against you. And I don't know why you feel that way. Because we had been cool from even before this. Right. She was like, well, no, I said, I feel like you have something against me. And she said, well, I feel like you have something against me. And I was like, based on what? Because again, Shannon, I'm on your show.
Right.
I can't do not like
I'm only to get scenes added if you add them.
I'm in pocket, baby. I can't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, why? She said, well, I guess I was looking at you like your character. Am I that good of an actress? She wrote the character, bro. What? And so I said, you know what? So let's clean the slate, because that's not it. I have nothing against you. I really don't. And if that came off, that was not my intention. But by the end of the show, there were just certain scenarios where I had to really always be the bigger person and be the balm to the situation. And then in season 5, she just came out her face at me one time too many, and I just chose to stop being the balm because the show was wrapping. It was the end of the season. It was the end of the series. And I'm just not going to keep doing this.
All right, so I know that clip was like kind of long and it was like a lot of different information in there, but hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing and how that clip connects to all of these concepts that I've not only been discussing during this live stream, but also just generally talk about on this channel as well, when it comes to like confirmation bias and stereotyping, and how that does unfortunately sometimes shape people's perceptions or opinions of light-skinned women, and that affects how they might interact with them, how they might deal with them in a work environment, how they might view situations involving them, how they might want to engage in friendship with them. So when we're talking about these experiences that we have and these ways people view us, it's not just us trying to accuse people of hating on us because we're light-skinned, or thinking that everybody's hating on us because we're pretty, or anything like that. Is that these ideas genuinely do impact how people view us. And when people are people, so people are inevitably going to have power. And so in this case, are going to have power over you, or are going to be your coworkers, like in my situation, or maybe not have physical power over you in the sense of like with Ice Spice and Cleotrapa's situation. They might not have power in that way, but Cleotrapa definitely knew how to harness her power when it came to, weaponizing her Black womanness, dark-skinned Black womanness, and, putting out those ideas of colorism and trying to allude to Ice Spice being colorist or thinking that she's better. She definitely knew how to harness her power in that regard. So in that way, she does have power over Ice Spice, because she has the power of influence in a way that Ice Spice doesn't. She might have fame, but Ice Spice can't get on here and, pull the same victim complex, narrative, and then have a bunch of light-skinned Hispanic people coming and supporting her the way that that happened for Cleotrapa, and it happens for brown skin and dark skin women. So they try to make it seem like they're disadvantaged and they don't have any social power, social influence, but they know that serves as a benefit for them. They know the already preconceived notions that people have about light-skinned women, and they know that culturally in the Black community, people have already been conditioned and have been dropping seeds about light-skinned women being specific types of people. And so it's easy to uphold these confirmation biases about them when you've already been being told as a child being influenced by these stereotypes. And so when you have Issa Rae saying, well, I guess I viewed you like your character, even though she wrote the character. And so you got Amanda Seales here like feeling like, well, you guys are, ostracizing me or treating me differently or not supporting me because you're viewing me like your character, but you wrote the character. So that's what I'm trying to say. These stereotypes that they attribute to light-skinned women specifically, and these characters that they put in media, this shit is way deeper than just, people caring about what storylines a character has or something. These opinions are really shaping how people view light-skinned women, and that is not always a positive thing. It is not always positive. And in my opinion, in most situations, especially if you're trying to actually be a loving human being, it is not positive to be seen as a vain Jezebel who's manipulative and calculated, which is how light-skinned women are stereotyped. That's another reason why I don't really understand the whole light-skinned privilege thing, and why light-skinned women think that they have this amazing representation. Like, light-skinned women do not have amazing representation. You're stereotyped as people who are not to be trusted, as snakes, as bad friends, as annoying, as as only gonna look out for yourself. Like, and people project those ideas onto us and even put them in situations where they're not relevant or they don't matter, or in a situation like Amanda Seales where they're your boss and not only somebody who has influence over your money, like her assistant, like Issa Rae's assistant, somebody who already has a preconceived notion about you or does not like you for whatever reason. And we can't just assume that it's because Amanda's light skin. I'm not trying to say that either, but I mean, every light skinned woman has, especially if you've been working for a while, you've been in situations like that. You've interacted with women that are like that. You've had family members, friends, whatever it might be, that were like that woman. So Amanda's not crazy for saying that that woman was just very vitriolic towards her from the start. I can totally believe that because I've definitely met people who are like that. So I can totally believe that. But if you've never had that experience and you don't see the pattern of behaviors and nobody's pointing it out either, it's easy to see that Amanda Seales it's easy to see it as like, oh, Amanda Seales is crazy. Oh, these light skinned women are just saying stuff. I don't see the connection, which is why we have to make the connection and present the evidence. And which is why I, thoroughly how Cleopatra could get on TikTok and do her little story time. No evidence, no receipts. The math is not mathing from the business end. She acting like it's a girls trip when it was literally a tour. Like this was a birthday girls trip to DR when this was to, a resort or something, when this was literally a world tour. That's business. So you be getting mad at Ice Spice about stuff that she probably don't even have control over. Ice Spice did not plan the trip. Ice Spice did not single-handedly plan the tour. She don't have finances of anything. She's a new artist, so she don't even have a high budget like that. But you making these demands thinking that her team is going to work for you and all this type of stuff. Like you don't got your own label or your own, management team. The whole thing was weird. And I just don't feel like she was being 100% about the business arrangement. I don't believe that she didn't know as much as she knew from the start. She probably was privy or made aware if her team wasn't able to do XYZ for her or didn't have the budget. She probably was made aware of that and still decided to go. That's what I think. I don't think that she was just out there stranded because Ice Spice single-handedly tried to sabotage her, which is how the dynamic was being set up. And so it's just really interesting how it was easy for them to go along with the narrative that Ice Spice is a bad friend and that she basically sabotaged Cleopatra. But then if you look at this situation in contrast to how Amanda Seales' situation was handled, when there had been talks that the Insecure, cast was a toxic work environment and that Amanda was going through shit, and they still spun it back around on her and made her the issue. And somehow they still stereotyped her in that way and villainized her in that way, when we know if the roles were reversed, if it was Amanda's set and it was Issa Rae making the accusation that Amanda made, she probably would have gotten the same level of support that Cleopatra got. But nobody really, not that I feel like Issa Rae needs to be held accountable, quote unquote, in that situation, but nobody really held Issa Rae accountable in that situation or even questioned her. They just dismissed Amanda Seales and said she's annoying, she probably did something, whatever, and it was spun back around on her, which is what she was talking about. Like she was the victim in the situation and being the one being ostracized, but yet nobody really cared about her side of the story or empathized with where she was coming from, even though she literally spoke about dealing with basically workplace bullying. And a lot of not only just light-skinned women, but women in general can relate to that scenario. But still, people did not have empathy for Amanda Seales because they don't like Amanda Seales, and because, like she said, it bucks up against their confirmation bias to think that that scenario could have played out the way that it did. But anyway, this is all I wanted to say in regards to this topic. Thanks so much for the support during this live stream. I know it's long. Get your popcorn. I'll try to add the timestamps as soon as I can. Get in the comment section and let me know what you thought about this topic, and if you saw how all of these situations and relationships between these 6 women correlate to each other. And shout out to the Playback Gang and anybody that's watching this afterward, as well as anybody who caught the stream live. I appreciate the